knows? Well, we're going to give it another try and see what happens. I don't know what to expect from this. So we updated the platform. I checked everything I could on the YouTube side. Its settings seem, first of all, we didn't change them, but they seem correct. Now it says excellent. We'll see how long that lasts. So the only change in this particular thing is, one, we fully stopped and started the stream again, moved over to the primary server instead of the secondary, so we're at YouTube's primary instead of YouTube's secondary, and I reinstalled the control software, but that doesn't actually change the control deck, so I can't imagine that's going to change any. So let's see what happens now that we are back. Let's see what that could be. So really, this is a test of YouTube primary versus YouTube backup. And there's a warning. What does that mean? I don't know. Doesn't give me a mouse over. Can you hear me? That's the question. Who's on? Come and say hello. Bum 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 ba da dum ba dum. We got 2 people now, but who are they? Nope, that's okay. All right, I'm trying to watch the messages and make sure everything seems to be okay. Is the audio choppy? Does it sound good? What's going on? Much better, Wiggy says. Hey, Wiggy, welcome back from this afternoon. So, fingers crossed, we switched, for some reason, we've always run on YouTube's secondary server, and we worked for months. So, we're testing out YouTube's primary server instead to see if it's YouTube's secondary server having a problem. I don't know, but TJ's back. Hey, Sam. So we'll see. Oh, Janet is back. Janet, how's it sound compared to where we were a few minutes ago? Are we sounding good? Are we looking good? I'm not getting any choppy warnings on my monitor, so I'm hoping that. But it says loud and clear. The thing is, we have 100% different people other than Janet than we did just a minute ago when we were having problems. So we're going to have to see what's actually going on. It's perfect, like good and normal. Okay, well, that's good. How's the image? Like, everything look good? Like, it looks, like, can you tell it's different in some way? It shouldn't, right? But it's a question. A lot of people are back. Okay, looking good. Going to hop over. It makes me feel a lot better that it came back with just a few minutes. Mark says working in Canada. All right. Wait and find out. Sweet. Okay. Well, that is encouraging because Mark was having problems before. Janet was having problems before. TJ wasn't on when we were having issues, so doesn't know how to compare. And my monitor says excellent, right? So that's a really good sign. Because that's its job, right? To tell me when there's an issue. Bright light from my left. Is it like... It is a little bit bright. I can kind of edge it. Ooh, I don't have my blue light on. What was it? Now it's the live stream. Gotta have a mate over your shoulder. TJ has been volunteering at the English language school. Well, for those who are now freshly back, I have no cables in my arms. I'm a free man. I still have a patch on my knee. I got debrided one last time. Oh, Luke's here. Perfecto. Mark says seems to be streaming fine now. So, yeah, feeling good. Boy, I'm glad. Well, so that's good. YouTube issue with their secondary server, apparently, as our only change. So, very exciting. Well, now I need to go hide the first attempt at the live stream because that was just sad. I will go try to do that. I guess that's right here. We made it 21 minutes, 35 views. It was all very, very sad. We're going to make it disappear. There we go. Now no one has to see us making that sad attempt on the first one. How is everyone doing this evening? Great to see everyone. TJ's going to go cook dinner. All right. I just had dinner from Sundance. I had a shrimp po' boy. Luke watched the live stream this morning, only missed PM 1.0. It's been a live streamy kind of day. I've been trying to figure out, mostly just in boredom, idle contemplation, but should I try streaming during the day when, like, I'm just working? Would that be, like, interesting? Would people be like, hey, let's hang out with Scott while he's streaming? Or would that be, like, the most boring thing ever? I don't know. I never know what, but it would give you a chance to, like, grab me during the day. Hey, what's going on? Hey, here I am. Yeah, TJ, I went to the main ingest server. For whatever reason, we've always been on the backup. It's not a backup. It's just number 2. And I switched it to number 1. And it was the only thing I had to really work with. I couldn't find any setting to kind of play around with that. Yeah, because like so we're set to normal latency, which is like highest quality, so that should help the most with these problems. So we can't fix that, or it's already as good as it can be. I went through every setting I could find everywhere to try to make it better, and so this is what we got. Larry says you're taking years off my life with 3 live streams, 2 unannounced this week. It's a live week, Larry. It's just that kind of week. My knee is still pretty much killing me. That really hurts. But if all goes well, tomorrow at about this time, I get to take the bandage off, which when I take it off myself means I get to take a shower and I get to take it off painlessly, as opposed to having ripped off today. The gauze bonded with the wound. Needless to say, that was an unpleasant surprise. But everything else was good. I got the needle taken out of my arm. So I've only had a 1-day window in 2 weeks in which I have not been needled the whole time, or channelized, as apparently they say in Nicaragua. Ooh, there we go. Get rid of the cotton. And so I've been with a needle, which is, it doesn't hurt, right? But it's uncomfortable for like sleeping and stuff, because there's a needle. You don't want to roll over on it, so you're always like sleeping funny and like kind of uncomfortably trying to make sure you don't roll over on it. So I'm really glad to have that gone. That's nice. And my knee should be, it's looking better. It doesn't look like some terrible open wound now. It looks kind of like just road rash. And yeah, looking forward to being able to like walk and not be in pain anymore, because it's, I just want it to be open air so it can move and breathe and stuff. Because 2 weeks, Patricia, yes, so much better. That's, woo! I did update the control panel, but it didn't update the gear that we're using, so I can't come up with how that actually would have changed anything, but I did it just in case. TJ says, I'm not very political, but watching some of these people melt down over the election is just sad. Yep. Let's, what did we say earlier today was, or yesterday, Luke liked it, that I said politics is America's religion, so people have a tendency to be a lot more passionate about it than other places, or angry about it, or something. And it should be food that we treat that way. We should be passionate about food. Not the manner in which we elect people. Scott, where are you located in Nicaragua? Who doesn't know? I'm like easily trackable. I am in the great city, the first city of the revolution, León, Nicaragua, out here in the west. He says, I need to start my research. I think Ecuador is too problematic. Ecuador definitely has some problems. Eric from Generic Expats is there, or Gen Eric, as I call him sometimes, which could be Gen Eric like he's generic, but it could also be like Gen Eric like it's Generation Eric. Haha, I don't know why I'm laughing at that. But anyway, little jokes to myself. Mark says, I don't know, we're pretty angry about it in Canada. So Generic is in Ecuador right now. It definitely likes a lot of stuff about it. There's a lot of good in Ecuador. I am interested, Wiggy, since you're here and talking about it, what makes Ecuador and Nicaragua your shortlist countries? I have an episode that you may not have seen where I did the Latin American shortlist, which doesn't mean they should be. Oh, my dad's here. My dad is out of the hospital for hours, and he's now here on the live stream. So everybody say hi to Thomas Miller, my father, who is back with us. And I'm going to tell Dominica. TJ says, why are Canadians angry? I thought he was going to say I thought he said we are Canadian angry. Like it's like a special angry. They're Canadian angry. Don't mess with the Mounties. They get Canadian angry. But so in the short list of countries, from my perspective in Latin America, Ecuador isn't on the short list. Like, it's a good country, obviously, right? I mean, what country isn't a good country? Okay, don't answer that. But you know what I mean? Like, nearly every country has some awesomeness that would make you want it. But as a potential expat, I find Ecuador to be like maybe in like the 9 or 10, which puts it like it's solidly a choice, absolutely. But I would put it as kind of a middle of the roader country and not a shortlister for most people. Oh my gosh, Patricia, that's near you? I knew that happened. I didn't know it was near you. Research monkeys made an escape today. Well, quite frankly, I'm rooting for the monkeys. So, TJ, people in Europe are upset too and worried. Yeah, worried for sure. But Wiggy, yeah, so I'm here in León. I'm out in the west. We're pretty popular for people who are looking at moving to Nicaragua who really want to be in Nicaragua as opposed to people who want to be in enclaves. We are very non-enclavey. So you're going to get a lot of very deep Nicaraguan culture out here. It is also the west, so we're the hot part. So we are we're the part when you think of like just sweltering Nicaragua, that's out here. It's us in Chinandega. But we're a colonial city. We're near the ocean. We're the only city like us. We're the lowest cost, safest city in Nicaragua. There's a possibility we're the safest city in Latin America. We're about 300,000 people, and we're famous for exporting. Our two main exports are education and revolution. And so it's kind of a wild place, but it's a really, really cool, interesting city, which is not for everyone, but it's got great culture of its own, and it has a really good for like expats who want to live here. It has an amazing just community. like not expat community. I mean, the Leon community is a really fantastic one, and that's really what ended up making us stay here. Was we just love all the people here. Like we have such a great friend group on the expat side and on the local side, and all of our expats friends here are like barely expat-y. They're very like part of the local community. Just some of us aren't originally from here, and some are. And Janet's my neighbor, and so it's a and TJ was out a few days ago for a party on the beach, and it's just we have this really fantastic whole community going on out here. But there's lots of really great bits of Nicaragua for sure, and there's a lot of reasons why Leon may not be a great choice for you. Heat being a big one. The mountains have a lot to offer as well. It's a neat country and good size, right? There's a lot of land. Wiggy says, I want to live abroad mostly for financial reasons, but I'm 69 and want an adventure. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. Ecuador is one of the more expensive countries. So obviously Nicaragua, Colombia, almost all the CA4, so Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala were all really, really cheap and similar, along with Colombia, Bolivia, and Argentina, and of course Paraguay, right? So there's kind of a band through the middle that's super low cost, and yes, narcissistic cloth. How do you pronounce that? Okay, narcissistic cloth. Yes. Narcissistic cloth. Yeah, Nicaragua is being actively maintained. It may be a little bit behind because people tend to send things in very last second, and Marcella, who maintains most of that stuff, is currently in the hospital, so it may be a little bit behind. There was a technical glitch, and a few things were lost that may not have gone back in yet. So you may be seeing a little bit of delay or gap on there, but yes, it is definitely being actively maintained, and we are just about to start seeing the bands and clubs be able to start maintaining their own stuff. So we're expecting in about a month to see a really serious explosion in the number of events that are on there, but November may be suffering a little bit. Would $2,500 a month, hopefully I didn't skip anyone, flag me, people, if I'm jumping over anybody. I'm not meaning to. Janet's going around the corner. EG first. Do you have any good or bad experiences with Avianca Airlines? I do have good and very bad experiences with Avianca Airlines. I'm planning to fly from DFW to airport to Managua. Yeah, we had a lot of people had really bad experiences during the pandemic. They definitely treated us like crap. I've mostly had them be good. They do have a sketchy track record, but honestly, it's other than Spirit, who doesn't have like a completely treat people like crap track record, and Spirit unfortunately was so good that the government tried to shut them down and may have succeeded. So that's just sad. But if I was flying in Avianca, I literally today made some travel plans. I have to fly to Bolivia, and I'm going to go on Avianca. So I'm not avoiding them. I definitely get angry at them sometimes, but I fly them when I'm doing work in Belize. So I have to go through El Salvador and Guatemala, and they've been fine. They've been good, and their hub in El Salvador is tops, right? Like, so that is a huge bonus for Avianca, is any time that you're going to be using their San Salvador hub, stop by Cadejo, get a draft beer and a taco while you're waiting for a flight. Man, you're happy to have a 6-hour layover. You don't care. Wiggy, would $2,500 a month keep me out of stress? I'm not a person who needs a lot. Yeah, $2,500 if you're single is going to be pretty like comfy. Right. Now, it all depends what you want to do, but unless you want to have like a baller place on the ocean kind of thing, or one of those like mansions in the hills of Managua, you're pretty much good, right? Like, yeah, I mean, you're not going to be making it rain everywhere often, but once in a while, right? Like at $2,500, you can from time to time make it rain. You're in pretty good shape. It's if you think about. So I tend to be pretty good. I mean, now right? I have an office and I work a bunch of jobs, and I'm, a wife and kids and dogs, and we do a ton of stuff. So I don't live this way here, but I would be absolutely happy really happy with a house sub $600 here in the Leon area, no problem. And I'm talking 3-bedroom, 2-bath, big yard, place I'd have people over for barbecues and parties and stuff. It would be great, right? Sub 600. And if I wanted to do like I'm living kind of like solid middle class, not entry, middle class Nicaraguan. I want a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath, because that's how Nicaraguans roll, in a nice community, and I want to go just full in Nicaraguan. I would probably spend around $300 a month and be really happy with the place that I have. Realistically, I would probably spend about $250 on the place, and then keep a little buffer budget for doing my own improvements and upgrade stuff, and so spend really more like $350 and have like a really nice place that I add a pad out back and an outdoor garden with kind of a American fancy garden done on a Nicaraguan scale in the back of a Nicaraguan house, which honestly I think would be one of the coolest vibes here. Is one of the gated community houses that generally are in the mid 200s, but they don't tend to do a lot with their backyards. They just don't have that American backyard patio culture thing in general. But if you did that, because you have the space in a lot of them, put that together, you got a pretty nice combo. I think all the neighbors would be coming over and be like, we're barbecuing at Scott's place. This is the thing. Break open the Tonias. It would be baller. That kind of price range. If you're spending, you're going to have over $2,000 for your food budget and, your electric and a few things. You'll be comfy. That shouldn't be a problem at all. You'll be able to order in Peditos John stuff without a problem. My dad says one of the nurses in the hospital wants to visit Nicaragua. I had one of my vets today was like, I'm really thinking about coming down to Nicaragua. Goobens is here again. Hey, welcome back. Hey, Mr. Scott. Yes, I'm the Haitian guy you talked to recently. I know who you are, Goobens. Thank you. I really need that 5 to 10 acre farmland where to start. Yes, so Goobens is looking for 5 to 10 acres of farms. He wants to do some animals, but wants to do a bit of, fruit, veg, that kind of stuff, especially veg, actually. I remember the details. Legumes. Not something that many people are excited about in general, so that's going to stand out in my mind. And I really think east of Leon, there's so much beautiful farmland that we're going to find something out there that's going to be exciting. South Carolina Perma is back. Is there a lot of fresh, raw milk in your area? There is not. I don't think... So I know, like Patricia, coming from South Carolina, you may think it's warm where you are. Let me tell you, it is not. Western Nicaragua is hot to the point where cows don't produce a whole lot of milk out here. So there are ways to get good milk. And we'll get my buddy Julian on here to talk about raw milk availability that does exist. You can work with a farm up in Chinandega and get your own milk delivery. But words like, is there a lot? Is this common? No. Dairy in this part of the country is not common. It doesn't matter what type you want or anything like that. So it doesn't matter if you're looking for raw, fresh, creamy. We have extremely little. In general, what we do here, but keep in mind, right, Nicaragua is only the size of a state, so this is a little bit of a perspective thing. Imagine if South Carolina didn't have a lot of dairy, but imagine North Carolina did have a lot of dairy, and you said, oh, in South Carolina you can't really get dairy. You'd say, well, we just bring it in from North Carolina, that's fine. Right? So here in Nicaragua, we're in that kind of boat. I realize that South Carolina does have dairy, so it's just an example. But here, we're too warm, so we produce extremely little dairy. It's very specialized. But Costa Rica is just around the corner, and they produce a lot of dairy that's really good. So we ship in a lot of dairy from Costa Rica. So we have a good access to dairy. It's just not our dairy, if that helps explain a lot of things. That is one of those tricks to living in Nicaragua, is knowing that your dairy comes from Costa Rica, because people demand Nicaraguan stuff, and they're like, no, it's got to be Nicaragua. And you're like, this is crap. You're going to get terrible milk. And then they're like, how do you live like this? And we're like, we don't. You're the one who demanded this milk. We use this from the store. And they're like, what? This is like delicious ice cream. We're like, yeah, it's fantastic. It's Costa Rican. So we're willing to admit when Costa Rica knocks it out of the park, and Dos Pinos ice cream and butter is one of those places. Wiki says, I'm looking for a casita for one. Casitas are uncommon, believe it or not. They exist, but you'll probably... so if you're looking at a beach area, right, you might be able to find that stuff. If you're looking outside of a beach, then you're probably going to be looking for a gated community or a semi-gated community house. Just from a practical perspective, that is typically where expats on budgets end up going, because you're able to get a really tight budget with a really safe area that's easy to manage for an expat. If you're like Janet and I, and you've been here for a really long time, you tend to then move back away from that eventually. Not everyone. Some people just love it, and there's a lot of reasons to like it. But we both are barrio people. So we know how to navigate the barrios and know how to deal with completely Nicaraguan, like, deep cultural housing and stuff. And that's what we like. So we do that. But for the average expat who's looking to be on that budget, you're generally going to end up in, especially if you're in a tight budget or you're just not concerned, because who was it this afternoon was like, I don't need guards. What are you talking about? And it's like, well, they tend to come with things, right? But there are places that feel like they'd have guards but don't. They just feel that way, and they feel like they'd be gated, but it's actually kind of open. It's more of just a portal. Those places just tend to have the value for expats looking for really low cost living that's still safe and convenient and comfortable and so forth. Jay, I'm going to come back to you because that's probably going to take a second more to discuss. I just don't want to miss it. Port City investment, should I just come for 1 month first? Yes, absolutely. I think in almost all cases, the first thing to do is come down for a little bit. You will gain so much comfort, knowledge, scope in the first days for real. I mean, okay, so probably the first 3-4 days, you get you're like in shock treatment, and you're like, whoa, new country, what's going on? And then you get past those first few days, and you're like, wow, okay, I'm absorbing everything now. Let's go see some stuff. And you start to get a lay of the land, and then pretty quickly you'll be in this position of being like, now I know what's here really quickly, and I can make big sweeping decisions that make sense. And shoot milk through town, but that makes a lot of sense. Well, first of all, San Juan is on the border, right? He could be bringing that milk from San Juan, from Costa Rica. But oh no, we're getting glitches. No, we were doing so well, and we have 33 people on. Let me know as fast as you can. Yep, there's Luke saying it's buffering. We're going to go to the map and see if we can trim it down and catch it. Let me know how the audio is. How is the audio? Went to map. So, I mean, and it's totally possible that in San Juan del Sur there is a local dairy that's coming through. We do not have that most places. We don't see that. Patricia says, strange that Nicaraguans don't do more with their yards given how open houses are to the outdoors. It varies where you are, but people don't hang out at their houses is the real thing. And when they do, it's out front. They want to be on the street so that they can hang out with people. Okay, audio is holding on. All right, cool. We're going to give it just a little bit to hopefully catch up. My cache says everything's okay, so that and we're pushing 40 people on here. Nice. We're gonna come back. I'm gonna try to watch the cache as best as I can and see what's going on. Chanteles and Metagalpa. Luke says Sans Dairy, so we ain't in Wisconsin anymore, which is funny because my business partner's from Wisconsin. EG says Chanteles and Metagalpa are the places where most dairy is produced. I think that sounds probably true. I think that's right. Patricia says permaculture, lock your doors. There's a bunch of monkeys on the loose. DA Miami, or damn am I? All it takes for fresh milk is one neighbor with a cow or a neighbor with a nearby cousin or brother with a cow. Raw milk, not an organized business, but easy to find ad hoc. Yeah, if you know someone with a cow, you'll be all set. All right, yeah, it's saying the stream is good, and we got a lot of people on. This is, woo! Port City, weird question, but I wear ball caps a lot. Is it frowned upon in the culture there? Have you seen my show? I have 40 ball caps in this room. In fact, you can get your Scott Allen Miller vlog, but no, I'm just kidding. But I mean, you can if you're here. You can buy these in Nicaragua. You can't buy them online yet. I know we got to deal with that. But I'm in a cap all the time. People wear caps here all the time. That is not a problem in any way, shape, or form. Not a thing. In fact, the president never takes one off. Like, he's always wearing one. Everyone's wearing, like, everybody wears a ball cap. I think you're in really good shape. Ball caps and cowboy hats. Just, yeah. I can't think of situations. Like, I try to take them off when I'm having dinner kind of thing, but that's probably more American than anything, or European or something. Front of them, buffering is good. How's the audio? Only for a second. Audio is good. 5x5. Audio is good. Video restored. Yes, it buffered. Lost audio. Only 20 seconds. Hello from Michigan. My end is a free zone. And Mark says, or a goat. Okay, back to the big question. I did not want to skip J23CR, who said, I'm concerned Trump will once again try to destabilize Nicaragua. So, this is not to get political, and we're not going to get political about it, but we can talk about this in a relatively generic sense. And I think the first thing that we can just annihilate from this concern right here is this word in the middle, once again. The United States has continuously attempted to destabilize Nicaragua without ceasing since 1979. There is not a break from that. The way that it's done varies a little bit. There is a little bit of, different approach, or sometimes it's a little bit more and a little bit less. But the idea that the U.S. is ignoring Nicaragua and might come back to it, the idea that it's letting it go or doing nothing and is going to return and do something, it's I think, a misleading way to look at it. It is... sure, Trump's not been in power. Biden's been trying to destabilize it. Now it'll be Trump behind the scenes doing the destabilization again. In reality, it's neither of them. It's their administrations just continuing the same policies. Neither of them, because Nicaragua is, and it's sad to say, right? But it's small fish. It's a small, annoying fish. To the United States. It's always nipping at their heels. It's always annoying, but it's never concerning, right? Does that kind of make sense? And so the United States has a constant pressure on Nicaragua to try to make things somewhat destabilized, but only so much. And there's very much a status quo. And from a Nicaraguan perspective, I think, Nicaragua has concerns about things that happen in the U.S. and things that the U.S. are doing, but they're in a very general sense. And from a right versus left, one party versus another perspective, I think Nicaragua kind of looks very neutrally on the U.S. in that sense, right? There isn't one side that's more or less enamored with Nicaragua. One is not looking to do more destabilization than the other. It is honestly a completely bipartisan destabilization attempt on Nicaragua, which is a terrible thing to have to say, but that's kind of how it is. So while yes, we should all be upset about how that goes down and how that plays out and all those things that are happening and have been happening for a really long time. So, are we upset about that? Yes, we are. When do we want change? We want it now, blah, blah, blah. But from a, should you be concerned? Should you feel that there is a panic that something bad could happen because of things that just happened in the United States? I think in general, no matter what happened in the United States, the concern is meh. I don't think it's, obviously this is very personal opinion. I don't think Nicaraguans care or are concerned, or honestly, I am absolutely to the point I would bet my life on it. Trump does not know on what continent Nicaragua exists. If he gets involved or his administration gets involved here, it is by accident. And that's often the case, right? It's just the reality of Nicaragua. We're not on the radar for real. Byron says, and we are back. Congrats. EG says, where's Atonia? EG, I just had my tubes taken out. I've been on an IV for weeks. I'm on so much medication because of my infection that I have not been able to have alcohol in quite some time. Very sad. My dad says, medical needs are calling, must run, get back to business, blessings all. South Carolina says, so what are your thoughts on the U.S. government travel recommendations online about expressing caution and not to travel to Nicaragua? As always, I say if the U.S. is warning you about it, it's because the U.S. doesn't want you to know. The more the U.S. tells you not to go somewhere, the more you should be going there. But most importantly, never read a State Department website from the United States. They are not your friends. They are not. The State Department is not mandated, and this is real, right? This is complete. The government said this. The State Department is not there to provide good guidance for you. That is not their role. That website is not there to tell you about actual dangers or to protect you. It is there to manipulate you into being in the places that the U.S. government most wants you to be. Whether that is in your interest or not is random, right? They're not trying to hurt you, but they are not trying to help you. And if you look at other countries, their travel advisories to Nicaragua do not match that. And if you look at other countries, the things that the U.S. warns you about in Nicaragua, the whole world warns people about traveling to the United States. So it's all perspective. Luke says it'll be refreshing having a meal in Nicaragua and not having every person talking U.S. politics like in Florida. Yeah, it's funny. Like, obviously, this week, everyone's talking, and it's one of the negatives about being American is just everywhere you go, people are like, oh, sorry or congrats or just something. Everybody has to say something about the election. And you're like, one of the reasons I'm not there is I don't care. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Except for in the case of Patricia and the South Carolina crew. It is your monkeys in this case, but that's a special day. In general, that it's a whole thing of just, I care. I want good things to happen for America. I want good things to happen for the world. I want good things to happen for people. And I don't want bad things to happen. But as much as I can be disconnected, I also want good things to happen for the German people. I would like them to elect a good government and have that government take care of the people and do wonderful things. But as much as I can, I don't care. That's up to them to figure that out. I can't be everybody's vote babysitter, right? I just can't. So hopefully they figure things out and don't need to involve me. That would make me very happy. But it is, and we talked about this earlier today, and I have some videos on this. But one of the powers of an expat, the nature of being an expat is that you are decoupled. I never said that before. Luke loves when I come up with new phrases. That expats are decoupled from the political process, and we get to view it as the consumers of sausage, not the makers of sausage. And it's just wow. I'm so free. That's a freedom that people don't talk about. I'm not responsible for the sausage, right? So I had to do a lot of poli-sci in my master's work, and one of the things that we talk a lot about is noblesse oblige, the obligations of the nobility and those that are in power, landholders and business owners and merchants and bankers and all that. You have a certain responsibility to take care of the populace, and it's exhausting if you take it seriously. And when you're an expat, you can project that as I'm here to help with business. I'm here to help with volunteering like TJ does with schools. I'm here, but I'm not obligated to know or care or be involved in the politics. Done. I'm out. I'm able to just be free. Don Johnson's here. Hello, everyone. Mark says I ignore them. Well, I know Canada's the same. I ignore them. Yep. South Carolina. Wow, fully agreed. That's mind-blowing. Don Johnson says, everybody has been trying to talk me out of going to Nicaragua, but I tell them I'm going, and if I like it, I think I'm going to live there. Very nice. South Carolina says, same, Don. Everyone is telling us not to go as well. The simple answer, because we had a lot of this as well. We had very little of it. I do have to be clear. It was not very much of it. Partially because I'm a very, I will push back if people are like, it's not safe. I'm like, well, it's safer than where you are. So why haven't you left? Clearly you're being hypocritical, right? Like, I will hold people to that fire, and did. We've had some pretty fiery arguments with some people because one of the reasons that we come here is to protect our daughters, right? And so if people give me pushback on safety, I do take that particular item a little bit seriously, because I have daughters and they do need to be safe. And when people try to convince us to put them in danger, I don't appreciate that. So that is something I fight back on. But other than that, people know that I'll put up a pretty good argument, and so they tend to leave it go a bit. But everyone has that story because people are jealous. And that's the reality. That's a very trite thing to say. Like, that sounds like an ABC after school special. Oh, your friends are picking on you because they're jealous. Nope, you're a nerd. That's the actual reason they're picking on you. But in this case, it is actually that they're jealous. People are actually upset that they don't control your vote anymore, and this is not always necessarily America, right? So different places have different issues, but I've heard the same thing from Canadians. They're upset that they're not getting your tax revenue anymore. Some people are just upset that they wish they had the courage to go anywhere, or the interest, or the flexibility, you name it. People love, if you think about it, not everyone, right? But a huge percentage of the world wishes they had the power to move and the choice to move. And not everyone does. And when someone has the power and has the courage and has the flexibility, it's often seen as like cheating. And then the people who are scared or have a career that they just can't, or some obligation that they're unable to go, or whatever, or are prisoners and can't go free. They see people living their best life as something that makes them angry, and they're not allowed to say that. If you were to go out and say, I'm going to buy a bigger house, they're not allowed to say, oh, you're terrible for having a bigger house. If you go out and say, I'm going to buy a boat, they can't complain about that. If you say, I'm going to go to Disney World, they can't complain about that. But when you say, I'm going to take my family and I'm going to make, I know a lot of you guys are retired and say, I'm just going to retire somewhere. But when you say, I'm going to take my kids, I'm going to give them a better life, what they hear is that you can't give your kids, or that, I'm going to go live a better life that you can't do, right? Why? You name whatever it is, whatever that thing that makes them not able to do that thing is probably not a positive thing, right? And it may not be their fault, but it's not going to sound positive in their head. And so people tend to react quite negatively, and because it's another country, they feel that they're allowed to just lash out and lie and be angry, because I don't know why they think they can do that. But the moment someone reacts that way, especially if they don't research, if they don't know, if they're angry that you're going to a safer country, if they're angry that you're going to a cheaper country, if they're angry that you're going to a freer country, when is it okay for someone to be angry at your safety, freedom, or saving money? Those are really inappropriate things to be angry at someone about and to pressure someone not to do. And so it's an area where I encourage you to consider the option of being a little bit angry about it, right? It's because it doesn't come from an honest place. No one is telling you that because they think you're doing something dangerous. No one's saying that because they think you're doing something dumb. They're just really upset that they aren't doing it for whatever reason, or that you're taking away, you're exposing that they've been manipulating you or taking advantage of you, and they don't like losing that thing. And I understand sometimes people have but we're friends and you're leaving. Like, my best friend moved to Belgium. That was super sad, and we don't see each other. We talk every day, but we don't see each other all the time. And you can understand the friends are going to be far away, and that causes a negative emotional reaction. Of course, that's okay. It's good in most ways. But then say, look, come with us. Why not? Make your life better too. Right. Trying to talk me out of blah, blah, blah. Coming down that way, definitely. I'm conjoined to my tax master. Byron says, as an expat, do you still have the right to vote in elections from your country of origin? Well, Byron, that is 100% a question of your country of origin. As an American, I have that right, yes. As a Canadian, any Canadians in the group would certainly have that right. I don't know of any country where you give up your right to vote, but they certainly exist. There's plenty of countries where you must be resident in order to vote, but not many that people are coming here from. EG says, I am Nicaraguan and people tell me not to move back. Mark says, need to take care of a few things like selling my house, getting a new knee. I'm thinking about getting a new knee, Mark. That's crossed my mind this week. Patricia says, I feel safe where I live in the USA. Mark says, after I have that all under control, I'm going to walk about in Nicaragua. South Carolina says, I truly just want a better quality of life and more safety for my son as well. My friend in Nicaragua says she stays for the quality of life and community for her children and that they feel so safe. That's definitely, we lived in Texas before coming down, and, my kids have had, and we lived in a really safe, really nice part of Texas, and so we're from Dallas, and then my wife's family, so all my kids' cousins are from Houston, and we didn't live in like the safest part of Dallas. We lived in a really safe part of Dallas, and they live in the safest town in Texas, right? Number one, I think, in all of Texas, and even given that we're from very white, very suburban, very safe parts of Texas. The school, if my kids were to have attended school, had a mass shooter in the school. Their actual babysitter growing up, the nanny that used to take care of them, had her boss's family all gunned down in a mall mass shooting. Their cousin in Houston had her boyfriend's best friend shot in front of him at a school shooting, and her boyfriend himself was on TV jumping out the window, running as he was being shot at. Nearly every single person that they have contact with has been in at least one, if not two, mass shootings. It is to the point where it is the expectation in Texas, if you are a child in Texas, you will be involved in a mass shooting. And my kids still would have years left to go of school. So the degree to which, and they're safer, it's not just safer in school, the degree to which they're safer in a car here, like traffic accidents, so much safer here, or just so much less likely to die in some kind of traffic accident. Like those are big deals, things you don't think about when you're in the U.S., because the U.S. is relatively safe on the highway. Like it's not bad, but Nicaragua's noticeably safer. Like mathematically safer, not like my impression. Like it's mathematically, dramatically safer for your kids in a car here. Those are big deals. Those are things you don't think about. You're like, oh my gosh, car accidents are a major killer. And that's a thing that you can reduce by moving to Nicaragua and not being an idiot. You can still move to Nicaragua, drive like an idiot, and die, right? But you have the power to control making yourself not super risky, whereas in the U.S. you can control that you're average, but you can't control that you're not average, because of the reasons that the accidents happen. So there's a lot of those safety things that you feel safe in one and actually are safe in the other. But yeah, being here for our children. If it wasn't for our children, Nicaragua would be less ideal on our list. The incredible level of safety in Nicaragua is obviously a big factor for us choosing it, because there's lots of places in the region that I really love that are just a lot less safe, and it'd be like, oh, that place would be cool. Do I really want to raise my kids there though? I want to raise my kids in a place where just extensive level of safety. Brent says, greetings from Seattle for next Thursday's live stream. I'll be in Leon. That's amazing. It's hard to believe you're already almost here. Like, what day do you arrive? I know it's coming up real soon. Brent should be a special guest on next week's show. That would be cool. Vince is here. Hey, Alan. Hey, Vince. Goodman says, what to expect when I go to Nicaragua? That's such a big question. I honestly don't know how to answer that. It's a new country, so, there's just everything from language and food and music and everything. There's life is different here. Everything is different in Nicaragua. So the shocks of coming to a place like this, which are mostly positive, but and then the litter, But Patricia especially will be super excited about this. The Keep Leon Clean and Green campaign has started. There's banners everywhere, and they are working on the litter control. Like, it's finally a thing. The Weeping Indian is coming. Byron says, are your children enrolled in an English-speaking school? They are not. My kids are and always have been homeschooled. We lived in 8 countries. Nicaragua was not on our radar initially. I kind of on our, like, we'd heard of it, obviously. But it was not a place we were seriously contemplating when we first started. We were really serious about places like Panama and Argentina early on, and we really thought we were going to live in Europe. We had a pretty good idea that we were going to be living in Italy and Argentina and going back and forth every 90 days eventually as kind of our plan. It wasn't like a solid plan, but we were like, we think this is where we're going to end up. And never got close to those being the places that we were in and going back and forth. But that is where we were thinking initially. So we knew we needed to homeschool from the very beginning because of those reasons. We needed the flexibility for our kids to not have to go in and out of school all the time. And so we homeschooled from the very first day with both kids. South Carolina Permis says, is there a drug problem in Nicaragua like here? No, there's nowhere in the world that has a drug problem like the U.S. They refer to it in Europe. It's known as the U.S.-UK drug problem. Like, it is unique in the world. So nearly every country in the world has drugs. You're not going to be drug free. But drugs here tend to be pot and just much more mild and a whole lot less. Nothing like you find in the U.S. at all. And Nicaragua is not part of the drug trade zone. It's not part of the trafficking zone. So it doesn't have cartels or anything like that. So it's totally outside of that sphere of influence. Do drugs exist in the country? Of course they do. Dale says, RE safety. Nicaragua is also safer in their food supply, not just the contaminants, but also most of the food won't sicken you and cause disease, right? Not genetically modified, a lot of that stuff. People just pretty typically get a lot healthier by being here. Gubin's big metal art pieces shaped like trees as you drive through Managua. And Leon, and Nagarote, and Matagalpa, and Jinotega. They're everywhere, but Managua still has the most, but they're now national. They're no longer just Managua. Patricia says, that's amazing. Yay for a cleaner, greener Leon. Finally. Patrick No Say David? Is it Patrick I don't know David, or is it Patrick No Say David? There's a lot of different ways you could potentially pronounce that. Anyway, he says Nicoya, which is a peninsula in Costa Rica. Port City says, how are the international schools there for kids? So I'm a terrible reference for the term international school. Really throws me off. I never know what that means, honestly. Sorry, like, that's about the most ridiculous thing you're going to get from me tonight. But I'm always like, what the heck is an international school? So I went to private and public school in the U.S. as a kid, and I taught at private school, and I taught at uni. And here there's loads of public and private schools in multiple languages. And like, yeah, La Salle is here. They're international because it's a French school. And they're good, like they are everywhere, right? Because it's La Salle. They're the same everywhere in the world. I guess that's an international school. I don't know exactly what qualifies something as an international school versus not an international school. And I assume that is a reference to colegios, to high schools. But we have multinational uni programs here as well. So I'm very, I don't know. South Carolina, how are homeschooling regulations in Nicaragua? You can't, but you're also not a Nicaraguan. So the regulations don't apply to you. I homeschool with mine too. So your regulations will be under South Carolina, right? You're not actually going to be taking your kids out of South Carolina legally. They're still going to be South Carolinians. You're still going to be a South Carolinian. You're going to be a South Carolinian on permanent vacation. So from that perspective, you expect, like my children, are Texas homeschoolers being governed by the Texan homeschool system, which we very carefully moved our kids under before they started school, because Texas has one of the best homeschooling situations. The you will be under South Carolina unless you go through some measure to change that, and so that's it. Which sounds like a funny answer, but the answer is there is no answer. It just everything stays the same as if you never left home, except you left home. Is Nicaragua tough on crime? Nicaragua's pretty tough on crime, I would say. You know, a lot of things aren't crimes. Drives Patricia mad that, you know, urinating in public is not a crime, but when something is a crime, this is not a place where you want to be a criminal. Let's put it that way. But they limit how many. You know, you have an awful lot of personal freedom, right? You have a very wide latitude of freedom, and then there's a butt kicking coming if you decide to go too far. So that's kind of which is nice, right? Like you can do stupid things and not get in a whole lot of trouble, and then when people are really, you know, a problem, they can deal with them. Nobody 46820. Greetings all. How's the sailing community in Nicaragua? That's a good question. If we ever find one, we'll ask for you. There's extremely little sailing, partially because very rough waters, and sailing tends to be kind of an expensive sport, so there's not a lot of that. There is a lot of boats, but it's all fishing boats. Can you sail here? Of course you can. Pretty much everything you're going to find for sailing is going to be either in San Juan del Sur or in one of the private marinas like Puesta del Sol in the north in Chinandega. Sailing. Brent. Haha, Patricia. Not sure about YouTube live stream cameos, but maybe at some point, who knows? I'll be coming into the country Monday, which is really soon. A few days in Granada, then to Leon and Beach Area 2. Port City, last stream, you said you owned a steakhouse. They're on to me. You should do a live stream from there sometime. I should, especially as I have really good internet from there too. Same internet as here. We're on fiber at the steakhouse and at the hostel, both of my places. We do plan on doing live streams from there. So the quick story is we've only had the place for a year, and so you missed this Port City last week or so. We did our grand reopening of it. We had to completely revamp the place. Like we had to tear the driveway out. We had to tear the roof off. We had to we really redid it, but it's looking amazing. It's got the new garden patio now. It now has 3 bars instead of 1. It's got all new lights and new roofs, and we're doing all kinds of things. And we have plans for putting in a live stage out there. It's a little bit difficult to do my live stream from out there because of the salt air, because everything out on the beach is wide open. And so my steakhouse is waterfront. We have one of the extremely uncommon waterfront steak and draft houses. We have a full Argentinian grill. We have an Argentinian smoker. We have currently 9 beers on tap. We're trying to go up to 11 or possibly 12 now that we know Maestro is available on tap, if you know what you're doing. But we're on the beach. So doing a live stream like this camera can't be there. It will get destroyed by the air. So I have to be a little bit careful out there doing stuff. But I've been talking to the manager out there, and we're hoping within the next year to have a new stage built out there on the 2nd floor. Larry knows what I'm talking about. He's going to be like, wait, what? And we're talking about permanently mounting multiple cameras in the VIP that can see across to the stage, and we should be able to do live stuff from there, which would be really cool. So I'm hoping we can do quite a bit. How's the internet speed and diversity in Nicaragua? The internet diversity? So there's not a lot of internet diversity. Pretty much there's one major link that goes to Miami under the Caribbean. The speed is quite good. You can get more or less anything you want here. Almost all the country is connected by fiber. We're on fiber here. I'm way out in the west. I'm in a poor barrio, and we have really good fiber out here. We thought we were having fiber problems, but it turned out it was YouTube's secondary server. We switched to their main server, and everything worked. So we're on the same fiber we've had all along. Once in a while you'll have issues, but we run international companies from here specifically because the internet is so good. We're on conference calls nonstop all day long. This is our nerve center of multiple companies right here, so it's good for that. Janet, what are you sending me? Oh, is that a school? Ah, Oh, wow. What a weird place for there to be a major international school. Okay, so Janet is sending me some information on the Chantales Academy in Huigalpa, of all places. I would never have guessed that there was a school out there. Like, that's super weird. I'm going to catch up here. How's the internet? So the internet is quite good, right? But there's good carriers and bad carriers. You got to make sure you're on fiber and not getting something crappy. You can get really halfway decent internet super cheap, but if you want really good like commercial internet, you're going to pay almost US prices, but like you're not paying more. Normally, somebody is, but not on average. Byron says, do you ever catch Anthony Bourdain's episode on Nicaragua from 2011? I have seen it, yep. Wonder how much has changed since then. So much, it's a different country. Like, just so much. In 2011, the country was only just out of the Comoro years when they were just destroying the infrastructure as fast as they could and tearing the country apart and doing away with education. Like, the place was falling apart. And by 2011, they were barely under the current government. So things were just starting to come together. So it's rough in 2011. I lived here in 2015, so that was a recent episode at the time. And by 2015, it was relatively similar. You didn't really notice the difference. Back then, 4 years, you'd be like, yeah, you barely notice. Now, holy cow, between 2015 and 2019, it was a different country. When I came back in 2019 with my best friend to help out with something, we were like, wow, boy, there's a lot I don't remember. Like, this is so different. It's only been 4 years. And having been back for the last 4 years, the country is changing so fast. Stadiums and parks and highways, and it's under so much development so fast that it's your head is spinning from how fast things change here now. Like, this is a country getting places. So yeah, go watch the Bourdain episode and then come here and be like, well, what was that pretend? No, he was really showing what it was like back then, and it really has changed that much. Janet says, I hear there are international schools in Managua. That makes sense. And my friends opened it's your friends that have that school in Chantales that's either international or would be similar. John Blair is here. Hey, Scott, in what region do you think the people feel the most optimistic about the future prosperity of the country? What area of Nicaragua do people feel? Well, I don't know. People on the coast probably feel really good because the new coastal highway is so significant. But anyone along the Chinandega to Managua path where the trains are expected to go in and the new ports and stuff are happening, they probably feel pretty good. Honestly, I think it's pretty even. I don't know about the Mosquito Coast, right? There's always, but they've got a lot of stuff going on out there too. The development in Nicaragua is amazingly universal. And it's a small country, right? So just to be fair, it's like what area of a city in the United States, if you were in like Houston and you said what area of Houston feels most optimistic, you'd be like, well, it's a city. They kind of all feel the same. Nicaragua's kind of like that. Like, I don't think that there's like little communities or sections that are like, oh, this area is not making it, but everybody else is. Maybe San Juan del Sur feels like, they kind of thought they were going to be the tourism thing, and then Nicaragua was like, you know what, tourism is just no. Like, we want to be a like serious country and have like serious infrastructure, and you can be a tourist, but we're not Costa Rica, right? And I feel like San Juan kind of got left a little bit with their like, but we were going to be the but. And it's not necessarily where they were thinking things were going, but in general, I feel like just everywhere feels pretty good. And they're, it's odd, but you go into like really far-flung areas, Acatal or something, and you don't end up with this feeling of being like, oh, we're so remote, they forgot us. It doesn't feel that way. It's like, oh, here we are in a tiny little remote village with our brand new stadium and brand new park and brand new hospital. And like, boy, how does the government remember where all these places are here? I don't know. Like, it's cool. I have no idea. What region? Luke says, being the naked guy in Leon is not a crime. Well, yeah, he's had a very rough life. Oh, there's a lot of stuff I have not seen. Janet says the directora was the director of the international school in Panama City for a long time, and her husband is a university literature teacher and author of Central American literature and English. Oh, that's very cool. Mark says, yeah, you wouldn't want to rob a bank in Nicaragua. No. I do not advise it. I know some of the guys who guard the bank in Nicaragua. Janet says they are really nice people. Probably not the bank robbers. She probably means the school people. A number one Savage. Hey, A number one. Hey, steak sauce. I forgot. That's what we're going to call you. I saw one sailboat moored in the islands on Lago Nicaragua. That's funny. In the Isletas in Granada. Like, people do funny stuff. There are some rich people out there. Byron, yipes. Here in San Francisco, the homeless defecate on the streets. Maybe not so different from Nicaragua. It could happen. I've never actually seen that. We have very little homelessness here. Certainly happens, but... Patrick says, Nicoya, Nica, se les dice a los nicaragüenses coloquiales. At least here in Miami, huge Nicaraguense community here in South Florida. By the way, Nicoya is a Costa Rican reference to Nicaraguans in the far south. By the way, Patrick knows Neris David. Saludos. Oh, and a new sub. Oh, awesome. How many subs do we have? Let's go see how the day is looking. It's with all the live stream stuff going on. It's been a busy day. I'm feeling so energized because I don't have needles in my arm. Oh yeah, there's our one new sub. Patrick is our one new sub. That is that. But we got him. Welcome, Patrick. Great that you are here. Brent says, didn't catch before that you had a hostel, or I would have made a reservation there. I do, Brent. It's a party hostel. You don't want to be there. Trust me. I mean, for like a night or two, you might be like, yeah, cool. But no, it's not the place you want to stay. There's a reason I don't tell you guys about all my places. I'm not trying to keep you away. I'm trying to set expectations accordingly. Come to my place and have a shrimp basket, maybe a beer. Well, no, definitely come and have a beer. But don't come in and be like, oh yeah, we're staying. It's gonna be this quaint little spot because Scott's like this. Like, no, I don't stay in my own places for a reason, and I don't manage them. And there's been a lot of times, I've had so many times that people have gone to my places and are like, what do you mean Scott's not here? And they're like, Scott's never here. Why do you, did you tell him you were coming? No, we just thought he would be here. And they're like, what? Like, he doesn't even live in this town. Like, what are you talking about? They'll be like, we can call him for you. Do you want us to reach him? And they'll be like, yeah, he can be here in like 6 hours. And they're like, what? We thought he was always here. And they're like, you know he's on his live stream, right? Just whatever. It's just funny. Mark says, any Canadian beer? I think no. I'm not saying you can never get one. It will be an import. It'll be a very specialty item, and I can't think of any being available. But you don't really need it because Central American beer and Canadian beer are not that different. Patricia says a live sunset cam on the beach would be nice. We have talked about doing that a lot. It's a possibility. We are talking about maybe taking over another property on the beach, and it would give us a perfect spot to have one. Maybe. We will see. Let me know. I can bring some from Canada. Not sure customs what I do if I brought a keg in from Canada. They would probably take that. And have a good night. Steak Sauce says Nicaraguan beer is great beer. We have really good beer here. It's true. Like, it's pretty solid. Alicio's here. Hey, Scott. Regards from Miami. What's up, Alicio? How's it going? Janet says, haha, probably they opened it there because they were only international schools in Managua. I mean, you can pretty much open anything like that in Huigalpa and be safe being the only one. Like, that's crazy, but interesting. It'll be fun to go check it out. They opened it. Edwin says, hey, Edwin's here. What's your favorite TV series or films? I have such a hard time with that. I don't know. I'm going to miss a whole bunch of things, but I love Doctor Who and Are You Being Served and Vicar of Dibley, Grace and Favor. As Time Goes By is my all-time favorite TV show. How I Met Your Mother and Frasier. I'm very much into sitcoms. I like sitcoms that are less episodic, where you have a sitcom, like it's light and you feel good. Like I've talked about this before in the show. I'm really passionate that media that you consume should make you feel good. You should come away excited or happy or educated, or it should be something real positive at the end. You should never come away feeling sad, right? Or feeling depressed or upset. Like, if that happens, rethink why you're watching TV or whatever. It's okay to be like excited, like watch an action movie, you're all pumped up, like that's cool. You're like Lord of the Rings, yeah, okay, like that's cool. But I never watch things that don't make me feel good. So sitcoms have a tendency. I don't watch a lot. Let's be clear. I can go a month without turning on a TV. So I don't watch a ton, but those types of things, Who's the Boss, Growing Pains, all those 80s sitcoms where, solving kids' problems by the end of the day, whatever, that stuff makes me feel good and reminds me of watching TV with my dad as a kid. And my mom and I used to watch British sitcoms together as a kid and that kind of stuff. So that, like mysteries, Murder, She Wrote and British equivalents, Agatha Christie, that kind of stuff, they tend to be what I like. I also do enjoy telenovelas, mostly because it lets me practice Spanish and get into culture and stuff. Yeah, that's me. I'm pretty quirky on that stuff. And if anyone's wondering, my current favorite TV show that you can watch right now is Only Murders in the Building. Port City Investments. I'll have to stop by for a T-bone and some Nicaraguan beer when I get to Leon. Yeah, for sure. Like, our steakhouse is pretty epic. Nobody says, many thanks. With great beard comes great responsibility. Thank you. That is my slogan. So have I been enjoying Flor de Caña rum? I've been enjoying Flor de Caña rum for a decade. Yeah, I drink a lot of rum. Luke says, in 2012, the hotel we stayed at outside of Esteli turned the power off at 9 p.m. Yeah, that's awful. I can't stand that stuff. And in 2012, that's not that long ago. Edwin, we are in the early November and they are blowing Polvora already. Still, the selling of pyrotechnic stuff hasn't started yet. Yep, fireworks soon. Rock Crazy Gal. As a single woman traveling from Canada, where would be a good, safe, interesting place to stay for a few weeks? Nicaragua in general, you don't really have to worry about too much, right? From a danger perspective, we're number one for safety, except for El Salvador. They're kind of kicking it for general safety, and we're number one for women's safety, number one. So that doesn't make it as safe as it is for men, of course, but the degree to which you are safer as a single woman traveling in Nicaragua compared to especially the United States or Canada is really dramatic. So that's a positive. There's a few places to obviously, or there should obviously be a few places you want to kind of work on avoiding if safety is the primary concern, meaning they're still not very dangerous. But San Juan del Sur, always going to be your most dangerous place as a tourist in the country. Managua, obviously, just because it's a big city, has more crime than other places. Grenada, don't avoid Grenada, but be aware that, if you're going out late at night, you're doing things alone, Grenada is going to be much more of a target because you're a tourist in a major tourist city. It's a generally safe city, but it does have some dangers related with being a tourist. The safest place for you to be is in Leon. We're just the safest spot in the country. It's just where we are. We don't have a ton of tourists, so being a single tourist out in the city, you're not much of a target. Always a tiny bit, but it's surprisingly minor. If you go to some place like Chinandega in the north where there's no tourists, then you kind of stand out because it's like you're the only one. But in Leon, it's no one's shocked that there's a tourist. But it's not a thing either, right? You don't have tourists all over the place. So it's a really good middle ground. Steak Sauce says Nicaragua is a winning country. Winning! The Palace Private Hospital in Managua is beautiful. It is beautiful. We spent time there earlier on. I think it was this stream, but it might have because we did a live stream this afternoon as well. Someone mentioned that Militar is 30% cheaper and generally considered just as good. And someone recently told me that Baptist was really excellent and they'd never seen anything as good in the United States. I don't know if they'd been that many places in the United States, but that's what they said. And I recently learned that Lenin Fonseca is a really amazing facility, part of the public system here. And then our new Leon Hospital is supposed to be pretty amazing once it opens. I think it's actually set to pass Lenin Fonseca as the flagship of the public system. And it's going to be the oncology center, the cardiac center, massive. It's the largest hospital in all of Central America, stuff. So very, very impressive healthcare system just across the board, all over the place. And then there's a police hospital that I know nothing about, but I've heard it's supposed to be pretty good, but I have no idea who goes there, who has seen it, and could tell us anything about it. Luke says, no needles in the arms, time for a tattoo. Yes, my needles have been taken out of my arms. You can still see somewhere, my a little bit of a boo-boo spot from where I've had a needle for 2 weeks because I've had so many antibiotics and anti-inflammatories and stuff that I've had to be on a drip for forever. But I did my last treatment, and as soon as they unhooked me, we started the live stream. So all done with that. Finally. Brent says, okay, just a shrimp basket then. Ed from Queens is here. Hey, Ed, how's it going? Steak Sauce says, if you love thunder and lightning, you'll love Nicaragua. Especially this past week has been pretty good for that. Not a lot of rain, just a lot of thunder and lightning. How do I feel about Vigorón or Gallo Pinto or Carne Asada? So, Patrick, I'm vegetarian, so I love Gallo Pinto, and the others I don't eat. Byron says, needles in the arms. Give him a second. He'll get to it after the bump. Haha. Don Timoteo is here. I stayed at the Hotel in Granada where the German owner turned the power off in the middle of the day. That after renting me a room knowing that I was working from the hotel room. Wow. That's... Brent said, I am wondering about the Spot hostel in terms of being too party oriented. I find that very unlikely. Kind of made a reservation on a whim, but then started rethinking it. Not like it's a big deal either way for a couple of days. I don't think the Spot's a party place at all. Obviously, I don't stay there because I live here, but I've been in there and it never hit me as a party spot in any way whatsoever. Gubin says, how far is Leon from San Juan del Sur? About 4 hours. Almost exactly 4 hours, I would say. Patrick says, smiley face at Byron. Nicole is here. Saludos desde Minnesota. We had more Minnesota on earlier today as well. John Blair says, have you been to Shayla Quetzaltenango? Which I'm not pronouncing correctly, but I have not, believe it or not. So Shayla, I have been really close to it. I've been on Atitlan, but I've not been into Shayla proper. I know Scott is there. I'm the one who's been promoting Shayla for years, right? For like 8 years, I've been telling everyone that Shayla is the place you got to go check out. And then I'm the one who hasn't made it there. So I'm very, very aware of it. And definitely going to go spend some time there at some point. Hopefully some things went through today that mean I'm going to be spending a lot more time in Guatemala. And I did find out today, at least I'm told, I'm heading to Bolivia in a few weeks. So, woo! Get to go put a little time in the mountains. If everything goes well, I'm going to be spending a few days acclimating in Bogota and then flying into La Paz. And hanging out with my crew in the high mountains, which is always loads and loads of fun. So importantly, though, Shayla and Matagalpa. Matagalpa is still a relatively low city, right? It's high for Nicaragua, but it's a low city. Shayla is much higher, much cooler. So Matagalpa is still eternal summer, just nice summer. And Shayla is actually chilly spring, right? Shayla is above Guate, and Matagalpa is far below Guate. So they're similar in size. Matagalpa is actually the bigger city, but I think Shayla is Guatemala's second city, and has a lot going on, and it has the Temple of Minerva, which is the name of my cat, so that's just awesome. Lots to do. I think both are amazing cities for sure. Both are safe, cheap, cooler. A lot of it's going to come down to when you're not in the city. Do you want to be in Guatemala or do you want to be in Nicaragua? Those are going to be some of your biggest things, right? And both are great, like two of my favorite places. So they're very difficult to compare, but you will definitely, without a doubt, find, I think Shayla's going to be a little bit more expensive and much cooler and a lot more food options. Patrick says, Nicas are beautiful people. I had a lady friend from Nicaragua, and her family used to throw the best cookouts, barbecues on the weekends. Great food, drinks, dancing. It's great people. It really is. Rock Crazy Gal, thanks for the info. Much appreciated. Absolutely. Oh, somebody just joined membership. It didn't tell me who, but there's a new member in the group. What? That's fantastic. Awesome. We have very few members. That's like a big deal. I'm gonna go see if it shows up in the list. It does. Ta-da! New member. That's amazing. Patrick says, "Vegetarian cabron. God bless you. You still have a new sub. You did not leave over that. I do eat hot sauce and stuff. So I'm technically an ovo-lacto pescatarian. So I eat cheese and eggs and fish." Edwin says, "Just a long, unskippable ad just triggered on me. I knew that weird stuff was U.S. only." Byron, in your opinion, Byron's asking, in your opinion, would you say Nicoyas tend to be the conservative of the Latin countries? No. I've been watching quite a few travel videos of different countries in Latin America, and it seems Nicaraguan are more conservative than other Latin countries. That is absolutely not my experience in Nicaragua. People have said that. I've heard that so much. They're conservative so there's certain aspects that may be conservative, like architecture and things like that. Mostly things that you find conservatism through poverty and less development. But from a cultural perspective, I think anything but. We think of them as one of the most liberal communities in Nicaragua. They do have a lot of Catholic backlash, and so there is, there is pressure against the general tide that they do fight against. But one of the examples that people give here is that the statement, right? Someone asked about Anthony Bourdain, 2011. If you were here in 2011, you said, is Nicaragua a really conservative country? It's like, yeah, I think it is, right? And you say, well, it's okay. How do you point to that? And you say, well, let's look at them politically, very conservative, coming off the Chamorro years, and a place that you often see this, right? So in the 1970s, people pointed to Iran and said, so Tehran, the capital, was famous for being progressive, and the world was mini skirts and high heels, right? That was Iran in the 1970s, and then they went through the conservative backlash, and now it's burqas, and it's a completely different place, right? You'd never, to the point, you would be literally confused by the concept that Iran, in my lifetime, was one of the world's most liberal countries. And similarly, if you came to Nicaragua in especially like the mid 2000s rather than like 2011, you would have this sense of okay, it's quite conservative, and you go to like the beach or you go to the club, right? And like a girl at the club, so it's always right. You tend to see it in women. Girls at the club would be like in a t-shirt and jeans, and they'd look cute, but super conservative, right? And now you go to the same club and it's mini skirts that you would never get away with in the United States, and super high heels and really low cut, and just like, you're like, oh, so when you come from the United States 10 years ago and got to Nicaragua, your reaction was, this is like a throwback to how conservative the US was in the 90s. Like, whoa, okay. And then you come back just a few years later and you're like, was this the same place? And going to the beach, you get the same thing. When we were here in 2015, if you went to the beach, every woman on the beach was in like shorts, like short shorts. No, I don't mean like super short shorts. I mean like normal shorts, like denim shorts, 3 inches long, whatever, like regular conservative going to the movie theater kind of shorts, right? And t-shirts and cover-up shirts. And then you come back in 2019, and the average girl on the beach, this is 4 years, the average girl on the beach is in a thong bikini. That's how much it changed in 4 years. Like from dramatically more conservative than the US to dramatically less conservative than the US in that 4-year period between 2015 and 2019, in every aspect of life. And that was just super visible, right? Because if you go hang out at the beach, people used to talk about everybody's in the water in their normal clothes. No one had swimsuits. And now everyone's in swimsuits that I would never see Americans wear. And the United States has basically not changed during that time. The U.S. changes, but at a much slower pace. And so just it's very, very interesting. But in that way, no, like everything, it's, LGBTQ is just, that's not even a thing here. They're past all those things, right? Are people, in alternative lifestyles? Yeah, it's all no longer an issue. It's no longer things that people talk about or think about or point to or all kinds of stuff, right? Like it's just all gone. So in the U.S., it's so conservative that people still notice and talk about it and discuss it, and here it's just people are just people. Steak Sauce says, I'm coming back to Nicaragua in late February, early March. I'm going to stay at least 1 month and really get a feel of the country. Awesome. Welcome back. And I was just in Argentina. Argentina is way more conservative than here. Guatemala, I think, is more conservative. Mexico, definitely more conservative. Panama, more conservative. I used to live in Panama. I honestly don't know a Latin country more liberal than Nicaragua. In every sense, literature and music and politics, everything. This is where secular liberalism is breaking ground in general. Let's see if you enable, this is Edwin, if you enable Streamlabs for sub, membership, and donation alerts. Let's see if you enable Streamlabs. Is that YouTube Streamlabs? I don't know how you do any of that. Vin says, is transferring money in and out of Nicaragua a problem? The real thing is, why would you transfer money in or out? Just don't. Just use an ATM when you're here. I never transfer money in or out. I mean, if I'm buying a house, I do, like, obviously. Nicaragua is part of the U.S. This sounds shocking to people who know, like, how things work around here. But Nicaragua is part of the U.S. banking infrastructure. It's completely transparent, moving money with the U.S. Like, it's so not a thing. If you need to do a wire, just wire money in. If you need to take out money at the ATM, just go to the ATM. Like, it's so easy that it's not even a thing to discuss. Like, it's crazy. Now, you would never send money back. Like, don't. What do you? So the question is, Vince, what do you want to do with money that you would bring money in? Under normal circumstances, all you do is just go to the ATM, grab cash when you need it, and you're done. And use a credit card when you can. Ed from Queens says, I've heard of women being robbed during the day while walking at the end of the Malecón in San Juan del Sur. Not super surprised. I assume you mean the, it could be either end, I guess, but I assume you mean down like at the duty-free area. And Steak Sauce just joined the membership as well. 2 new members tonight. That's amazing. Thank you. That's awesome. For those who don't know, membership is, it's a $5 a month. There's a join button down there, and it's just it's like buying me a coffee, but it's it's the same as one coffee, but it's a membership, so it's once a month. And then both of you guys that just signed up, make sure you sign up on Nika Habla. We've got a video on the channel that explains how to sign up on Nika Habla, walks you through it. And then we have a private group. There's non-private groups as well for everyone else, but we have a private group just for the members to be able to talk and get my attention and stuff during the day. It's the same. My company runs on Nika Habla as well, so my team is on there during the day. So I really do watch it all day long while I'm working. So, but those memberships, they do a lot to help support the channel, because even though it's a trickle of just $5 a month, holy cow, does that help with, because we've got cameras and software licenses and stuff. Like all that bump music and different things we do, those things have monthly fees that I have to pay. And those things really help with that. So thank you so much, guys. That's awesome. John Blair says, interesting point you made about not standing out as a tourist in Leon. What other places would you think are similar in that regard? Leon's the most like that you just fit into that perfect spot. But Matagalpa would be the same. Esteli would be the same. Jinotega, you would stand out a bit, but not bad, and it's really safe. Jinotepe and the Carazo zone, I think you'd be fine. Very similar. I think in Huigalpa, which is Chantales, and Boaco, I think you have too few tourists. So it's going to be like Chinandega, where it's like, Now they're very safe, they're very clean, lots of reasons to be out there. But you'd probably be a little bit. Patricia says, thong bikinis are illegal in Myrtle Beach. That's crazy. So if you want to see how conservative places are, that's surprising. That's holy cow. Like no one from Nicaragua would be able to go there. They don't own anything else. Like, and I mean that. The average girl that obviously if you're talking people who are 50 or whatever, but if you're talking under 30, the average girl that I know in Nicaragua would not own anything else. Like that's how dramatically it has changed. When they were kids, they never expected to wear stuff like that, and by now it's so normal that it would never occur to anyone to do anything else. Byron says, great answer. Thank you very much. House Hunters International, Anthony Bourdain. Those are my questions. Thanks for your opinion. House Hunters International is how I found Nicaragua initially, the quite a bit before Bourdain was here. I remember when Bourdain came, and I was very excited to see more of it. That I was like, yes, I was really interested in seeing it. And so I found his stuff on Managua really interesting. Later, after Bourdain's episode, House Hunters came back and did more. And there's at least one episode that's filmed on my beach. They show one of my hotels, and they film part of the episode from another one of my hotels. And every single house that someone's in the episode is one of my friends' houses. Like it's weird seeing it now that, and I know tons of people who were here at the time when they filmed it, and they're like, yeah, it was all, like, obviously it's so fake, and none of that was really what they were looking at. None of the numbers were real, and blah, blah, blah. Luke deleted something he said. What'd you say, Luke? Luke says, Nicaragua men still primarily wear jeans and not shorts like tourists, right? That is true. And I try to wear jeans from time to time. I'm still pretty warm most of the time, but I do at times wear jeans. But that is, shorts are not, I mean, if you're out working and stuff, of course you can wear shorts, but if you're going out to like dinner or something, Nicaraguan men are going to wear jeans. I wear shorts most of the time going out to dinner, and people are used to tourists being hot. If you're an expat, they understand you are from a cold country. Almost never does it matter, right? So don't feel obligated to be in jeans all the time, but yes, you will be quite noticeable. Don Timoteo, well, people in Nicaragua cannot afford gender reassignment surgery, so the transgender sports thing isn't an issue. It's really more that we don't have sports here. Patrick says, by the way, I'm new to your channel. Well, welcome. Awesome. You mentioned traveling a lot all over Latin America. What do you do for work? So 25 years ago, I started an international business consultancy firm. So we do things like IT and business process outsourcing, veterinarian services. We're a software company, a telephony company, a web hosting company, web design company. And then we do a lot of government consulting. across the region. And so we do a lot of different things. Our main offices are actually in Bolivia. We are in, for those who are interested, we're in places like Cochabamba, La Paz, Santa Cruz de las Sierras, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Salta, Argentina. We are all over Nicaragua. We are in Guadalajara and Mérida, Mexico. And if we have in the past operated some other places, including Panama City, and if our plans that we went through with today go well, we are setting to expand which are currently purely ops offices in Guatemala into a fully staffed office in Guatemala, so I'm very much looking forward to that, and I spend a lot of my time working for or in Belize. So we're all over the place, but we're a U.S.-based company, and so my specialties really lie in software engineering. I design business systems, and I do IT consulting. I wrote the book Linux Administration Best Practices. Steak Sauce is awesome. I will check it all out. Membership is money well spent. Thanks, Red Dog. Janet says, Ramon mostly wears shorts. That's true. Ramon does wear shorts. But they're so long that they aren't that short. Yeah, so there's a Latino short culture that isn't big in Nicaragua, but it does still exist, where it's like they're shorts, but they're like to your lower calf. Is that right? Yeah. So that you can wear, and it's kind of an in-between. But for something like Vela or kid's graduation, for sure he wears long pants. Oh, yeah. For those who don't know, Vela is like a wake, like basically a funeral. Patrick says, nice, sounds like you're living a good life in Latin America. Thanks. I am. Latin America has been absolutely amazing. We thought we were going to move to Europe. We put in a lot of time I lived in Spain, Italy. I always want to say France. I never lived in France. I never spent much time in France. Spain, Italy, Greece, Romania, and Ukraine during the years that we were in Europe, really investigating where we wanted to live. And they're all great for different reasons. We did a ton of research before living in each one, really knew where we wanted to be and what we wanted to investigate, and found some absolutely fantastic places. But in the end, we ended up pretty early on, just ended up in Panama City, checking that out. Thought we were going to be heading to Buenos Aires and Santiago. Ended up just falling in love with the Central America zone. Didn't want to be in touristy Costa Rica. Remembered some House Hunter International stuff about Nicaragua and decided to give it a try. And it was early on in our travels with our kids and stuff. I just ended up falling in love with it. But not enough to stay. We were in Granada, and it was like, oh, what a great country. But, time to move on to the next thing. And never thought we would... honestly, I don't even know if we thought we'd be back. We left in an emergency. We weren't really thinking at all. It was a family emergency. And when we came back, I came back in 2019, and Alan, who's on the channel a lot, around 2017. So I lived here in 2015, and then I was living in Europe after the family emergency, and around 2017 I started working extensively with Alan, and he asked me, he said, you've lived a lot of places. It was probably while I was living in Greece that I talked to him, and he said, or Italy probably. He's like, you've lived so many places. Here's what I want to do. I want to start moving towards retirement. I want to start spending my time in a place that I can someday retire, and kind of invest in the community, as expats often do, and just kind of head in this direction, so that when the time comes to really retire, that I'll be all ready for it, right? And so we did probably 3 years of research, probably 2 years of research. And really came down to, we looked heavily at Ecuador, we looked heavily at Mexico, really heavily at Mexico. My family was looking at a number of places around those years. And we thought Mexico for a long time was going to be very high on our list. And then we really decided that southern Nicaragua was right for Alan. And he was so excited for this really long time. He's like, we got to go, I guess see it, right? He wasn't ready to move, he just really wanted he'd never traveled before. So in late 2019, I brought him down with my best friend Rachel, and we came down, we went to San Juan del Sur, And Rachel had never been here. Now, she had lived with me in Spain. We'd been to Africa together. We've lived in Texas together for a long time. So we had a lot of travel, a lot of time together, and we were best friends, still are. And she was like, oh my gosh, this is the country for me. Nothing is this good. Like, she was just so into Nicaragua, and we had so much fun on that trip. Like, the chance for her and I to hang out and just do Nicaragua stuff, it was all just really fantastic. And Alan was like, I don't even need to get on the plane to go home. Like, this is it. This is the right place for me. So he was all in, she was all in, and I'm like, wow, I forgot how much I loved it here and how much I loved Nicaragua. And it was Granada that I was nice, but Granada was the wrong city for my family. So I went back home and immediately was like to my wife, Dominica, I'm like, Dominica, we need to talk about Nicaragua. I think it's actually the right place. We've lived in all these places. We've visited tons of places, 40. But Nicaragua, actually being back, it just hit me that that's the right place. It was home when I was back there. And it took her several weeks, right? Because she wasn't there. She hadn't been since 2015, and now I'd been back and she hadn't. And so by like January, February, she's like, yes, let's make it happen. And then just this perfect storm of terrible things. Rachel, my best friend, moved next door to us. So I was helping her move in. We're like, yeah, she finally lives next door. This is going to be so great. Like, we just walking back and forth every day. And I worked from home. She was a bartender. And so, it was so easy to hang out. We spent so much time together for those few months. And then COVID hit. And it was like, we were trying to move to Nicaragua. Now we couldn't. She lost all of her career. A guy offered her a chance to move to Belgium, and so she's like, I'm out of here, and just moved to Belgium and married him. So all of our kind of opportunities there at that time evaporated all of a sudden, and but we had made the decision to come back to Nicaragua, so we just were waiting out COVID at that point. So in our minds, I've been back since 2019. From the government's perspective, they're like, you had so few breaks in between. They just consider us having lived here since 2015. That's what they put on our paperwork. So that's official. So it's like I've been here a decade. And I'm like, I haven't really, but I appreciate the vote of confidence. But to me, it feels like I've been living here continuously since 2019, because before 2019, we had already started working here. We already had staff here. We had been here for a long time, and I had lived here previously. So I had a bunch of Nicaragua mindset going on. And then once we got here, in my mind, boom, I'm done. I'm moving here. Rachel's moving here. We're moving the family here, moving, the kids here. This is going to be the place. And it was weeks before my wife had agreed to come down. And so we were just in motion. Our lives were about moving to Nicaragua, starting right there in 2019. And but then we didn't physically make it until the beginning of 2021. So that was I don't even know what the question was that got us there, but Latin America in general has been amazing and just not what we originally planned on. And then once we got here, and lived in Europe a little bit, I think if you just go for a week in Latin America and a week in Europe, Europe's going to blow your mind. But then when you actually spend time there, it's still fantastic, obviously, but given enough time to get past like the cultural shock and get used to it and start to really appreciate what it's like in Europe, I pretty quickly found that it's so over-polished, it's so over-protected, there's just so many guardrails, and it's just so much. And Latin America is like kind of the good parts of Europe, without all the guardrails, without all the structure. It's so much more raw and wild and cultural and exciting and vibrant and emotional and dramatic. And it works for me. It's what makes me happy. Nika Sports would peg to differ on the no sports thing, not to mention the new baseball stadium. Ramsey Vireldzis says, "Hey Scott, thank you for your great informative live chat." Oh, thank you. I'm also new to your channel. Oh, fantastic. I'm a nephrologist in Long Island, New York. I heard that there is a new hospital being built in Leon. Any news? Yes, there is a new hospital. It is the largest hospital in Central America. It is phenomenally large. It is really close to us here. So that is our local hospital. And I actually, 3 weeks ago now, I actually met the new director of the hospital. We got introduced. So they're not open yet, but they are set to open this month. New oncology, new cardiac unit. It is the flagship of the public hospital system, and it's replacing the laggard of the system. So we needed it, right? Our old one is bad, but the new one is truly amazing, great location. So we're very excited about it. It's still a public hospital. Some people have asked me about it, like, oh, am I going to come there for all kinds of elective stuff? And I'm like, I don't think so. Like, it's a really big deal that we're getting it. Like, this is, everybody should be ecstatic that we're going to have this hospital, but it's not for the people who are like, hey, I want to come down and get some elective knee surgery. And no. This is for the western half of Nicaragua to have access to emergency medical care and really important acute care, not have to go to Managua for it, or not have to wait, and be able to do things without having to travel to Guatemala or something for something more unusual or whatever. It's super important, but it's not likely to actually be replacing what we have, which we have really amazing private systems. We have Amoxa out here in the West. We have the Amoxa system. We have the Pellis system. We have Militar. We have Baptist. Really good hospitals. We are a healthcare country, it turns out. Certainly interesting. Very important. I'm hoping to be able to pull a tour of it for you guys. That will be very hard. No one is getting a tour of it. So that will be favors and connections to get us in there, but I'm trying. Patrick says, talking about short jeans clothing style in Latin America, are you familiar with the cacabanas or guayaberas? Dressy style shirt of linen in Latin American countries, mostly Caribbean. Yes, yeah, I wear a lot of the Caribbean kind of stuff because I'm a big guy and it's warm for me. So those things I tend to wear. Healing with Nature. Hey, Scott. Hey, Healing. How's it going? Steak Sauce says, Scott, what is the climate like in and around Esteli? I'll look it up, but it looks really nice there. Esteli is not as cool. So Jinotega is the coolest, then Matagalpa, then Esteli. But it's pretty decent. Like, you're still in, like I said about Matagalpa, it's not really spring. It's just a nice, pleasant summer, but it is a nice area. It's one of the three highland cities where the temperatures stay quite a bit lower. So good options up there. I'm not a huge Esteli fan. Like, it's a nice city, but I love Matagalpa and Jinotega. Esteli's fun to visit and stuff, and I've got a number of episodes on it, so you can see me walking Esteli quite a bit. But I prefer the more mountainous Matagalpa region. Luke says, when not in Managua and using InDrive, best practice for finding private drivers in other major cities. Be happy to hire a new driver for each city visited. Often you do that. Mostly you just work through your hostel or whatever. They'll know the right people from that city to call. Ed says the robberies don't occur on pier side, but rather on the other end past where the restaurants stop. Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So that's San Juan del Sur, like past everything when you're kind of out there on your own. Patrick says, damn, dude, you've been to Africa, Italy, Bolivia. You sure don't work for the US DOJ or Intelligence Service. Come on now. Actually, he says common now, but he means come on now. Yeah, and I was just in Argentina and got stopped by the police several times. Come on, Argentina. Get it together. Yeah, I've only, it's funny. I've only been to 40 countries. I was on the Honduran border last week with Josie Marr. I've been quite a few places, but what's funny is I've not done Asia, but my wife has done a bunch of Asia. I really there's a lot more of Africa I want to go see. It's funny that you mentioned those, though, and you're not like, wait, you lived in Ukraine? When was that? Because I lived in Ukraine during the war. I also was in Montenegro. I've been in Montenegro, but that's not what I was going to say. I have been in Macedonia on the day that the government was overthrown. I have been in Kosovo for protests. I was once on the phone with Kosovo when tanks rolled through the streets. Also in La Paz when tanks rolled through the streets. Luke says, steak sauce Esteli is not as hot as Leon, warmer than Matagalpa, tobacco farms, cigar factories, cattle region, beautiful weather. Luke, but not Luke Graham, says, isn't it funny most Nicaraguans want to leave, but we expats want to stay here? Actually, most Nicaraguans, I get the point, most don't actually want to leave. They're just looking for work. They want to come back as soon as they can. I know very few that actually want to leave. They just, are compelled to be able to put food on the table. But that's the difference is, in all cases, Americans, Canadians, Nicaraguans, if you have financial resources, you want to be in Nicaragua. If you don't have financial resources, you still want to be in Nicaragua, you just may not have the option. All of us are in the same boat. It just seems one way because you only see the Nicaraguans who leave, not the ones who stay, because if they have the financial resources, they just stay, so we kind of ignore them. And the same thing with Americans. If you don't have the financial resources to leave, you just stay, and we just ignore them. So it appears like one group is going one way and one goes the other, but it's in all cases, both groups. If you need a job, you go to the U.S., and both, if you have the money to not need a job, you go to Nicaragua. And so that's actually what you're seeing in this. It's weird to observe it in that way because it appears like different groups are doing different things, but it's actually that everyone's doing the exact same thing that makes it look that way. Byron says, silly question. I drink carbonated flavored water. You won't once you're here. Are these drinks widely available? No. Or would I need to go to PriceSmart for that? I'm big on the bubbly brand. So actually, Byron, there's a new... So I assume you do not drink alcohol. I assume you're just talking about flavored water. So this is not a common thing here, but Aquapura, is that right? What the heck's their name? The main water brand here. You can tell there's only one, so I don't even know their name. They just started, like 4 months ago, a new line of non-alcoholic seltzers, right? Bubbly flavored water that I don't drink that stuff. I don't like bubbly water, so I don't drink it. But my wife really likes it. She says it's very good. So actually there is, but the selection is small. But it does exist, yeah. Janet says, regarding the nephrology, we have the new dialysis center just up the street from where we live. You have a new dialysis center. I can't picture where that is or what clinic that is. Steak Sauce says, thanks for the info. Patrick says, you didn't answer the question. Wait, what? Patrick, what was the question? Hold on, going back. Oh, I sure don't work for the IC. Thank you, Ed. Ed donated $5. A1 Steak Sauce, that's a great explanation. Agua Pura. Yeah, I did get it right from Janet. Byron says, alcohol, yes. Sodas or sugar water, no. Yeah, so it's not sugar water. There's a ton of the seltzer alcohol here. If that's what you want, you're in good shape. We've got the Flor de Caña line. We've got the Adani Ava line. We have the Spark line. And then there's the weird ones that are like cocktail-y things like bamboo and stuff. All those are available. We have a fair number of sodas, but they're all full of sugar. And then there's the soda water ones that are just the Agua Pura, but they are quite good. We've had a really high number of people on the concurrent stream today. This is a very busy live stream evening. I am impressed. Oh, Patrick also donated $5. How is the taxi service over there? Uber? Lyft? DD InDrive, thanks for all the great information, brother. You are welcome. So of all those, so InDrive is big here. That's what you're going to use in Managua. You can use it other places, but Managua is where you use InDrive. The other cities, you just use taxis because they're all tiny cities and it's well regulated. Managua, definitely use InDrive. Don't just use taxis. Managua, that does get dangerous, just general taxi danger, nothing special. We do not have any of the Uber, Didi, Lyft things at all. There's none of that at this time. Sad. I wish we had Uber. I would use that, or Lyft. I would use those all the time, but we do not. So InDrive is the thing to use, but works pretty well. Nowhere in the country is so huge that it's like a big thing. Generally. It says, let's celebrate their 5th super on a live stream. I have no idea what that means. All of these things that YouTube says, I'm like, I don't know what these words mean to people. I don't know what they mean to me. Mario says, have you tried Shaler Cola, Scott? Yes, I have had Shaler Cola. Not a huge fan. Not a huge fan of Prix either, Prix. They're okay. Like, I can drink them. I like Shaler, like ginger ale and stuff. That stuff's good. I just don't like their cola. Byron says, thank you for the live streaming when the Golden State Warriors aren't playing. You're welcome. I definitely scheduled around that. Byron says, lol. Awesome. It's great having a lively evening. Oh, we got a few more subscribers as well, so we've got a lot going on. I'm a little bit dehydrated. Gotta refresh this. Let's see what comes up. Nice. Nice. All right. Oh, now we're quiet. I caught up. It is 9 o'clock here. Oh, everything's off an hour. Does that make us earlier or later than everyone else? I've got messages popping up places. It's 9 o'clock here. So, I don't know. So, time zones don't change here. We were Mountain Time, now we are. There's a bird noise in the background. Yes, there is. That's a Guarda Barranco. That's actually what that is. I'm just outside the garden. So if you're watching my show and you see all this stuff, the garden is I'm in the middle of it. So there's actually loud birds around here. It's funny that shows up on the microphone though. Like we're on a good mic, like we're on the road. Right, but it's just sitting on my desk, which is funny. That's how long have we been doing this live stream? I have not gotten my rear up to Texas to get new microphone mounting things yet, because once I get to Texas, I'm moving from this, which is a shotgun, it's still good, like the quality on this is great, but I'm moving from that to a Rode like moving arm like podcast mic, and we're gonna up the game a bit. But it's been so long since I've been able to get up there. That's how you save money living in Nicaragua, is that I just wait on everything. I'm like, I'll get it when I go to the States. And then I wait 6 months, 9 months, and it's like I'm saving up. And it's like by the time I go, I've like put so much thought into what I'm buying. I get exactly the right thing. And like just so much like very careful planning. And now I'm like, you know what? I'm splurging. I'm getting an orange cable for that. Like, I'm going to have everything perfect once I'm finally done, and my desk is going to be pristine. Dale says, I don't drink anymore. How much of an outlier will I be going to clubs, etc.? You'll be pretty much an outlier. Like, people drink, for sure. But, you know, you go to clubs, you dance. People don't really care what you're doing. Just get on the dance floor, buy other people drinks. They're happy. Like, they don't care. Nicole says 9 p.m. CST. Yeah, we're the same now. We're CST now that it's changed. Mark says 8 in Mobron. Somewhere in Canada, but I don't know what that... nope, got me. Janet says, I sent you a TV link for the dialysis center. It's on a two-way street north of you, maybe 2 blocks east, north side of the road. Okay. Oh, from Channel 19. Okay, cool. Mountain Time. Mountain Time. Nicole says, yes, no Amazon one-click button with next-day delivery there. I bet that helps the budget. Amazon is eating all my money. It's so true. So I've done a couple videos about this. It's one of my favorite things is that, so I'm still working. right? So I'm not like on a fixed budget, and so I do earn money, and but I'm much less than I used to when I was in the U.S. But that's cool, like love and life, and so I have the resources to like one of the reasons I do this show is what kind of love Nicaragua, but also I love cameras, and so it gives me a good excuse. I really like microphones and cameras and all that kind of stuff. It makes me happy, and I like nice keyboards. So I'll show this off. And oh, my wife is here. Hello.
Hi.
What brings you by?
No extra phone in here right now.
What kind of extra phone would you like?
Samsung.
Another Samsung?
The same one.
The same one has been lost again.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's. Okay. Would you mind bringing me some ice and another Pepsi? I'm very dehydrated.
Yeah, you want a new glass.
That'd be fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
So yesterday
phone?
we had he wasn't in here. Yesterday, a friend of ours left a phone in my office, and I found a Samsung sitting over here there's another desk. It's kind of the desk that's behind me. It kind of wraps around. And I looked over and I'm like, there's this phone. And so I'm like, hey, I have your phone. And so my wife took it with her today and gave it to him during the day. And then he dropped her off at the house because he was helping her with the shopping for our apartment. They were doing decorating. And apparently they just called to say that he lost the phone again within 24 hours. That's pretty funny. The Amazon thing for Nicole. So, yeah. So because of this, when I lived in Texas, right, one click everything, we were just always on shopping, as everyone is, like obviously. And then when we moved down here, you're like, I don't have a lot of space for things. I don't need a lot of things. But I love cameras, and I have a good work environment. And so I'll spend a really long amount of time planning every single purchase. And I'll be lazy about it because I'll be like, I really want a new microphone. Well, I'm going to wait for an order with a few different things. And then I'll really carefully plan. And I'll be like, I'm going to wait and get it in white. And I'm going to wait and get it with an orange matching, thank you, orange matching wind cover, a pop filter. And then I'm going to get a matching orange cable. So I'll wait a really long time on each item and carefully plan out everything and get it in exactly the colors I want, and never accept what's in stock. Never do a ship them separately so I get it faster. It's like you do everything to make it cheaper and easier. And then you end up shipping it by maritime, and it actually ends up cheaper than if I bought it in the US and lived in the US. It just takes longer. And so I'm so diligent about my shopping. I actually enjoy it a lot more. And when I get something, every single item is like I get to open the box, and I'm buying higher quality stuff than I used to. And so now I'm so much more willing to buy things that really make sense for what I do. So I'm buying like really high quality Rode microphones, and I'm going to get a Rode headset and like all this stuff. And but I'm not buying junk, and I'm not buying extra stuff, and I'm not buying what's fast, and I'm planning every little thing and testing everything that I can. So I'm spending less, getting more for it, enjoying it better, and finding ways to get really good deals. So it actually ends up being, for me, kind of a perfect amount of effort versus cost savings and everything. Janet says, we don't drink, we order a water, and I get them to bring me a lot of ice. Edwin says 8 o'clock Mountain Time, 7 o'clock Pacific. Patrick says, brother, I do hear the heat and humidity is no joke in Nicaragua. The heat is no joke. The humidity is not normally that bad. During the rainy season, we're humid, but during the dry season, we're not at all. So it depends. But the heat, it's hot. Yeah. Ed says, I keep original paper I received from before residency laminated. I show it during police safety stops. The officers let me go without hesitation. Call me sir. They must assume I work for the government. Original paper I received before. The pre-residency. Yes, that's funny. Dale says, I'm assuming they have juices or other non-alcoholic, non-carbonated drinks at clubs. They do. The selection's not great. There's generally going to be something, orange juice, lemonade, but juice is actually not a big cultural thing here. So that's a bit of a problem. And my wife just posted that our bedroom air conditioner is broken. Bum, bum, bum. It's also from the 1980s. So that's... She can't sleep in that room anymore. Time for a real air conditioner. We've been threatening that we hate that air conditioner. Hold on, I have to respond. I'm going to say, well, we just talked about how much we hate that AC unit, and it wasn't efficient, and it was loud, so it's replaceable. It's this is ridiculous. It is so remember, we rent. We don't own here. We would never have done this. It is a 1980s Samsung window air unit that is stuck in the wall. And it has worked pretty well, honestly, for a long time. And now it has given up the ghost. And so it's time to put in a real air conditioner in the room, but the whole situation is just very funny for the most part. She's right, it's an expense. Who wants to buy another air conditioner? But we're kind of air conditioning collectors, so yeah. We've learned, you can't see it, but I've got a giant unit right up here. My office is not very big. Put in these giant 220 units, and they did, like, I can cool down my office 2 minutes, right? I can be not in here all day and be like, you know what, I gotta do my live stream. Put it on, I just put it in like 79 degrees. Things just like, whoa. And it's nice, it's quiet, it's cool. So let's see, blah, 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 original papers, assuming they have Jews. Byron, so I've got family members who just love listening to vloggers who report on current government, always fun, which my family eats up every word. Their opinion is that Nicaragua is not a dangerous place. Is dangerous, okay, yep. Yet these vloggers report from outside the country, or sometimes they are banned YouTubers. Yeah, funny. Oh, a U.S. government vlogger reports that another government isn't awesome? Byron, the thing that I say every time is remind them that the entire world is pointing to the fact that the United States is dangerous and scary. They've been talking about locking up dissidents and anyone who disagrees with the government in the United States openly on the media. Like, not saying it's going to happen, but there's a reason that the U.S. is trying to make noise about other countries about that, because they don't want people to realize that it's their own country. Ask them, why are they staying where they are if that type of safety is something they're concerned about? I really do ask people that. I I make people think carefully about that statement. It you know, the idea that people so often are concerned about the safety other places, but they don't care that they're not concerned about the safety of where they are. And so it's an interesting question to pose to people and say, why are you so concerned about safety somewhere that statistically is more safe? And why aren't you concerned about it here? Like, it's fine to be concerned about safety, but clearly you're not concerned about me moving to someplace safer. And it's also worth pointing out the thing that I say all the time: as an expat, the government is irrelevant to you. So you have to ask them, what do they think a government does that the government impacts you, right? It doesn't matter what the government's doing. You're an expat. So what do you care, right? That's one of the great things, is you don't care unless you're a criminal, right? Only those who are going to another country, any country, right? Just like if I was Nicaraguan and I went to the United States, and if I was like, oh, I don't like how the government does something, you say, why? It's not your government. What do you care? You only care that the U.S. has something, presumably jobs, that you want. That's what matters to you as an expat. So if you have a concern beyond that, that implies you're a foreign agent trying to infiltrate the country and to manipulate the voters. That's a crime in about all 200 countries in the world. And so it's weird. Any news from Jimmy? It is Jimmy's roommate who lost the phone. He's getting his stitches out today, so he's feeling quite a bit better. He cut up his foot pretty bad, but he's doing all right. He's been using it and stuff, and he's all right. He's having a bonfire tonight, Byron says. Then we have tourists and vloggers who live in Nicaragua, yet they are happy there and feel safe. So it's very confusing. It really shouldn't be confusing, right? People who are in Nicaragua consistently like Nicaragua, and people who are not in Nicaragua are easily employed to say otherwise. That's a pretty straightforward, consistent thing in reality. Luke says, signing off, audio. Edwin says, quick fact here, Las Vegas. Race will take place on Saturday. Mark Lawrence says, how hot is it? Leon is the hottest. We're the hottest region in all of Latin America, which is not actually that hot. It's that it's always hot, right? It's not that any given day is so hot. That is a misnomer or a misconception. It's that absolutely no day isn't hot. Right, if you go to the United States, you can, New York has hot days. You'll be like, damn, today's hot, right? And hotter than here. But most days in New York are cold. So the average is not very warm. But when you're coming to like Leon, okay, yeah, we never hit 100. Never. We also never hit 75. We're cold if we hit 79. So I think the lowest we ever see is 77. Middle of the night we can hit 74. That's kind of true. And during the day we can hit like 98, 99 on the hottest days of the really, really hot days. Most of the year we're between about 85 and 93. That's kind of the swing where we are in the majority for the peak of the day most days, which is quite warm. But it's you never step outside and have it take your breath away. You never hit that wall and go, I just can't, right? It just wears on you that it is a bit. What is your AC setting at, Charles? So first of all, Charles, welcome. Are you asking me what temperature I set it to right now? Because of the live stream, because of the bright lights, I turn it way down. It's at 79 right now. During the day, often I would set it to 80. And then at night, my other unit is in Celsius, and I sleep. If I use the air conditioning, sometimes I don't, because I don't need it. But because I have dogs and stuff, like I do get warm. I'm not sure what I set it to. Hold on. Hey Siri, what's 25 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit? 77. So I'll go as low as 77 while sleeping, but only with really efficient one. And they vary. They're not super accurate, so I'm not sure how they compare. They're completely different rooms, so they may be closer than not. But if I use one for sleeping, that's about it. Here in Leon, I'll sleep with it. If I'm in like Managua, I don't normally sleep with air conditioning because it's not that warm. But during the day, you could want it. A lot of times I don't use air conditioning here in the office. If I'm doing the live stream, I have to. I'd be all sweaty because these lights are hot and everything has to be closed because like you guys can hear the birds with everything closed. If my windows are open, you couldn't hear me over the birds. It's like crazy. And people are yelling outside and stuff. But like during the day, I'll often, if I'm going to turn on the air conditioning in here, I don't turn it on until about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It'll depend based on my meetings and like what's going on. And a really hot day, obviously, I'm going to turn it on. But like every day this week, I haven't turned it on until I was recording. So it's not as bad as it seems in a lot of cases. That was Mark. Ed says, why are 80% of police unarmed if Nicaragua is not safe? It's true. Most police are not armed here. Byron says, being an expat from the U.S., does that mean you are protected in Nicaragua? Certainly more protected than in the U.S., that's for sure. Is that why you wouldn't be concerned with the local government? I'm not concerned with the local government because I'm an expat, right? So it's not that I'm not, what am I trying to say? The results of the government there's two ways to look at government in this question, Byron. So one is, Are you concerned that the government's going to, like, I don't know, take out a stick and beat you, right? I know that's not what you're saying, but very tactical response. For some reason, the government goes around and beats you with a stick. That would concern you. Most people don't like being beaten by a stick. Granted, that's what we would call a bad result. So you as an expat care about bad results. You don't want to be beaten with sticks. In a real sense, more of what Ed is saying, the thing that you like about the Nicaraguan government is that it produces things like an unarmed police force, right? Being pulled over by the police in Nicaragua is not scary. The rule of law in Nicaragua is really solid. You don't worry about arbitrary detention and things like that. Someone's going to mention when you have a traffic accident. That's not arbitrary. That is a known planned detention, right? That is not what that term means. But more importantly, results of government, and this is, Byron, when I'm using the term how the sausage is made, this is the other way that we're using that. The sausage is the results of government, meaning like you can get healthcare. So if you're here in Nicaragua and you break your foot, right, you're carrying groceries, your dog knocks you over, you step funny and you break your foot. Real thing. I can go to the hospital, and that hospital healthcare is free, and they take care of me, and they treat me well, and they make sure I'm okay. That is a good result of government. So as a expat, you care about that. You care about the result of government. You care about the way that the police treat you, the way that the hospital treats you, the quality of the roads, the access to good internet, because the government ultimately is involved in making sure that the access to internet is good, and so forth. That is the sausage. You care about the sausage. You care about the results of government. But as an expat, unlike as a citizen, when you live in the United States, assuming you're American, then you care how the sausage is made. What that means is you care how the decision to provide you health care, or how the decision to arm or guide police is made. That's how the sausage is made. So as an American living in America, you care that you have a voice in the decision process of determining what's going to happen. You also care about the results, you care about the sausage, but you also care about how the sausage is made, because it is your kitchen. It is your sausage maker. It is your meat being ground in the sausage maker. Or in another expression, it is your circus, they are your monkeys. But when you come to any other country that is not your own, where you are not in the polity, you are not a voter, or not a potential voter, not a person being represented by the government, then how the government does what it does is irrelevant to you. Because whether they are a monarch, a democracy, a oligarchy, a alien lizard people, crystal worshipping guided spaceship people thing, doesn't matter. All you care about is, at the end of the day, is it yummy sausage that keeps you safe. And so that's one of the beauties of being an expat living outside your own country. This is why we call it the power of the expat. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you go to. The act of being an expat breaks you from one of the most stressful and highest overhead parts of your life. And not that it's always bad to be involved in politics. Of course, people need to be. But it's an entire thing that you're often saddled with and cannot escape in your own country. But whatever country you come from and whatever country you go to, by going to a new country, you decouple yourself from those obligations, from that overhead of having to be a part of making the sausage all the time. And so it's a very, very different experience. And so specifically in your case, when you're talking about what you care about in Nicaragua, you care about the fact that very obvious things, right? You care that the police are there to protect you. You care that there's good health care. You care that it can provide you a great quality of life. And how Nicaraguans decided to go about providing those things is for them to argue over, and for them to decide on, and for them to care about. And you have chosen to come to Nicaragua partially because of those things. also partially because it's a warm country with nice trees and because it has nice beaches. Some of those things are not controlled by the people, but that's just the nature of being an expat. So anytime someone tells you that you should be concerned and then they mention the type of government any country has, they're being dishonest. They're either trying to trick you, legit, a lot of people are trying to trick you, or they've forgotten what a government is and they've mistaken it for a religion and it doesn't match their religion and they're trying to pressure you into a religious decision about where you live rather than it's not political decision, but a simply quality of life decision, right? And so it's that's one of the things. And this is nowhere on earth do these discussions happen where people say, oh, you can't go there because of mentions the type of America, because America specifically actually created the government to be a religion. Like that is a very specific thing going back to the Puritans. The United States was formed as a religious state. There's other places, right? Israel's like that. Saudi Arabia is like that. But they're few and far between. Iran is like that. But that is a difference. To European countries, to Latin American countries, to most Asian countries, governments just are things to regulate the people. They keep you safe. They oversee taxes and police and stuff like that. They're not religions. So the idea that you care what the structure is of another country makes no sense. And whether you're going to live there or not still makes no sense. It just doesn't, who cares? But to Americans, because it's a religion, at least in their minds, it becomes you can't worship in that country because their religion is different than what we believe in. And then you can get into the discussions of what they actually believe in and how that got to where it is. But that's the fundamental. That's why, and I know that's a long, drawn out, but that is why, as a traveler and as an expat, it is impossible in that context to care about what kind of government someone has or if it's stable, right? Guatemala doesn't have a stable government. Right? Constantly in flux, all kinds of problems. Do you know how much that impacts you as an expat? Zip. Doesn't matter. Right? Unless people go out and blockade the road to protest. Then it's annoying because you have traffic jams. But that is it. Hold on. Trying to read a message here from someone. Sorry. Asking me a question. I don't know why. All right, popping back. Sorry, I disappeared there for a second. I can find my live stream. There we are. But yeah, so I mean, being an expat from the U.S., does that mean you are protected in Nicaragua? Everyone's safe in Nicaragua. Like, it's just a safe place. What I see. Good thing, this is Janet. Good thing about living here is you can get used to the low range of variations. I'm cold at night sometimes. She means that the temperature just doesn't vary very much here. So you really adapt. So even though it's warm, once you get used to it, it's not as bad as it seems at all. Like it just doesn't fluctuate. So you're always a little bit warm, but you're not warm like you think you'll be. Janet doesn't like air conditioning. Charles says, hi. Edwin says, you have flown in an Airbus A380. A few months ago, I mentioned it to you about receiving a Boeing 747 flying over Managua back in 2022. I don't think I've been in an A380. Charles says, at home, nice. Mark says, love the heat. Patrick says, brother, I just came across your channel. Pleasantly surprised. I subscribed and I'll be following you, all your new vids and live vids. Abrazos, Chavalo. Quid essay. Thanks, Patrick. Awesome to have you here. Ed says, weekend nights around 10 p.m., the armed tourist police show up in full force. This is San Wendel, sir. There to protect tourists and on the outlook, get drunk drivers. We don't have the tourist police up here because there just aren't any tourists. Charles says, 25 is good. It's hard to sleep sometimes with that humidity. Sometimes the air conditioning takes the edge off of the humidity for sure. That's nice. Brent says, I've noticed on my weather apps to often have a feels like temperature there. presumably because of the humidity. It would be, yeah, about 10 degrees above the thermometer. Maybe not during the upcoming dry season. Yeah, during the dry season, you'll do better. Marcella is currently in the hospital, and she just let me know that. This is negative. The hospital, she is actually at Lennon Fonseca, and they have air conditioning during the day, but they don't at night. Now it's Managua, and it's just off the lake, so it's in a spot where you really don't need air conditioning at night, except it's inside a hospital. So the hospital gets a little bit warm, but she just got a fan, so she's now all set. She can have a fan at night, so it'll be. Oh, she just said. She finally got a fan, but now they're keeping the air conditioning on. So now she's really set. So now it's chilly in the hospital. All right. Tourist Police 25. Charles says, I've been hassled in the past, but nothing too scary. That was a long time ago. For me, that I ever had anything. Nothing in recent memory at all. Charles says, it does help to assimilate. Brent says, I feel like had my sausage ground the other night with the decision of the election outcome and not in a good way. Nicole says, thanks, but now I'm hungry and craving a sausage. Ed is, it's a common sense government. Example, cars are required to have a fire extinguisher and a reflector. There is, everything here is very common sense, straightforward, and funny things you would never guess, like the reflector required in your car. They check for that. Like, they're not kidding. You would better have a reflector in your car. That will really surprise you. Some of the things that you do in the U.S., you're not required to have that, and here it's such a big deal. Charles says, being Catholic would benefit a little bit. Charles says, that's deep. Most Catholic societies accept other views. Frank says, good video on healthcare, my dude. Really enjoyed it. Hope you're feeling better. I am. I'm quite a bit better. My knee still hurts, but it's noticeably better than even, this morning. I wanted to send you some pics on some hikes I've been doing around San Juan del Sur. Anyway, I can send you some links to IG. Yeah, that works. Red Dog disappeared. Byron says, no, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to explain. My folks are Nicoya, so I guess they care how the sausage is made while I don't or shouldn't. Yes. Yeah, if they're Nicaraguan, then absolutely they can and should care how the sausage is made in Nicaragua. And you should care in America. I think that's where you're from. And that's the nature of things. Although I kind of get a point of it being a little bit unfair that so I'm born in America, so I care about America. That's a weird mechanism, right? Just as humans, but I'm Swiss. Why don't I care about how the Swiss sausage is made, right? And I do care how the Swiss cheese is made. Is that the same? I don't know, but it's in many ways. In many ways, I wish you had more option over which place it is that you care about where the sausage is made. But it's also, we choose where we want to care how the sausage is made based on the quality of the sausage being made. So one of the things I say a lot that's deep and profound, of course, is, so as an American, right, I have to care how the sausage is made because I'm trapped with it. When I moved to Nicaragua, I moved here because I like the sausage. And whatever's going on in America is 1/330 millionth my fault, right? I represent a tiny piece of the polity. And so, sure, I'm not completely responsible for everything, but I'm a little bit responsible for things, like all the other Americans. And the thing that's interesting is, so if I'm going to be completely logical, right, going to take off all emotion, I'm just going to be logical. I am an American. I like how the sausage tastes in Nicaragua. I come to Nicaragua. Logically, I don't want me to have any say in how the sausage is made. You say, what? Why? Because when I've had a say, the sausage wasn't the right sausage for me. When these people, Nicaraguans in this case, made the decisions, they made the sausage that I wanted. The only thing I know is that the decision process of the Nicaraguans resulted in what I wanted. The one choice I get is which sausage I want to eat. If I inject my opinion into the process of the Nicaraguans, I am either going to, almost certainly, just do the same thing they're already doing and my input is pointless, or I'm going to change them and ruin the sausage for me too, because clearly I was not needed to make good sausage. So why do I want to get involved? If I go to a really awesome restaurant and like the food, my reaction should be to shop there again, not to go into the kitchen and change it. Like, dude, you liked the food. Why are you in the kitchen? Well, I liked it so much I want to change it. Not a good reaction. But that's the reaction we expect. It's weird. Okay. Brent says, hope it's nothing serious with Marcella. It is actually quite, but we think things are really good. And luckily she's in top hospital and getting the care she needs. So hopefully we will have her back on the show soon. It does help to assimilate to culture and custom. So do the horses pull? The truck beds need reflectors. One would hope. Can you buy, this is Red Dog, can you buy solar panels there? Yeah, or would I have to import? I mean, everything here is imported, but someone has already imported them for you. There's solar panel companies all around. Solar panels are very popular here. You can also just import, right? We have really good access to China, so we can get all kinds of things here that are hard to get in the U.S. are easy to get here, which is great. Charles says some good pork in Latin America. I'm vegetarian, but that's what I'm told. Byron says, Red Dog, great question. Scott, would solar panels be a good investment? What's the investment cost like? It's so pricey here in Northern California. They're very cheap here. Because we get everything directly from China, and our tariffs are low or non-existent, everything is cheap here. So if it's like, I want a box of cereal that came from the United States, that's going to cost more than normal, right? But if you want like products in bulk coming from China, it's going to be cheaper than the U.S. We have lower tariffs, direct shipping. No one's going to price gouge you because you can't price gouge Nicaraguans. And so generally you're getting better prices on large industrial things here. And especially things like solar panels where the U.S. is really inflated and China keeps it low. You're in good shape. It can be a good investment. It really depends where you are, right? So some places in Nicaragua, you're going to have electricity that's so cheap that there's no way you'll ever pay for the solar panel, and there's other places that you'll pay for it in the first month. That's probably an exaggeration, but it'll be really fast. So you'll have to gauge where you are, what your situation is. We're planning to build a new place on the beach. The beach tends to have very high power. When we do that, we plan on going heavily solar. We're planning on enclosing the house and having big, monstrous air conditioning and being able to keep it quite cold all the time with lots of insulation in a very modern place, because my kids plan to stay with us as they get older. And so it's going to be my wife and I and my kids and our dogs and our compound on the beach. And it just makes sense to have a really nice place like that where we have the solar panels and we don't have to worry about like running power during the day, because as you know, I have lights and like I'm going to keep doing this stuff, and we want it to be really nice and comfortable, and my studio is going to be built out there, and so solar panels for that almost guaranteed to be great investment. But out here where we are in the barrio, no, it's basically impossible to ever pay for. So lots of factors. You'll just have to gauge what makes sense for you and when the time comes. Charles says, you're human, dude. You live, eat, survive, enjoy life, eat happy. Janet says, this is vegetarian sausage, right? Charles says, never import your car, mega taxes. You can, technically, when you become a resident, you get some tax breaks. Still, he's right. I still don't know anyone who's had it work out to the point where it made sense. But I want to point out, we are 2.5 hours in. Okay, that's not really that long, but we're 2.5 hours in, and we only had that 1 20-second glitch of things. Since switching to the other YouTube thing, we're on the same internet, no problems at all. So this heavily leans towards YouTube was having a problem on their secondary server for the last couple of weeks. Oh, Ed says, sorry, I was drinking, Ed, while you said that. I fell face first and suffered a concussion requiring 14 stitches. I was treated for free at hospital with no wait, treated like a VIP. I bought the staff lunch, and they were very appreciative. Awesome. Hopefully not recently. Ed, I don't know if you caught the story. I was in the parking lot of Manolo Hospital, and I lost my footing with my left foot. That's why I fell and came down so hard, and I ripped my right knee basically off. Not the knee cap, like just the skin, like totally off, and ground in the dirt so hard it couldn't bleed. So my infection was pretty bad. But it was actually in the parking lot of Manolo. Ishithix is here. Do you know, given the relationship with China, if I wanted to order something off of AliExpress or similar, are shipping times cost reasonable, or is it not practical? It's super practical, but not because of the relationship. You were able to do that prior when we were in the Taiwanese relationship. Just China isn't like antagonistic in that way. They're not like, screw you, don't buy from us if you're not our friends. Totally doesn't work that way. China's like, you want stuff, we sell stuff. We're like a store. So there's a bit of shipping time because it's boat, and the Pacific's wide. But you can totally order directly from the Alibaba, AliExpress, and all that stuff. No problem. People do that constantly here. And yeah, great. Byron says, yeah, for the past 2 hours, noticed 0 issues. That's I've got alerts like right in front of me, and not one thing has come up this whole time. So I'm really encouraged by that. That seems to be solid. So yeah. Charles says, be careful. Yes, I'm old. My foot just slipped out and I came down. What really happened was my left foot went out. I didn't want to like twist and like break something or, and so I just sat. I just went straight down because my right leg was not in a position to catch me. So I decided to just fall straight down, which shouldn't be that bad. So I came down on my own leg, as you do, and that wasn't so bad. So I basically had one leg out and one leg under me. And that was okay. Like, it was a little bit of a bruise. I was going to be sore, but that was it. And then, but the driveway was tilted, so I just slid down the driveway on my leg. And I'm in shorts because I'm just outside walking in a parking lot. I'm not going in anywhere. And so as I slid down the driveway, there was all kinds of rocks and stuff in the driveway, and it just tore through my knee because it had all of my weight on it, and it was so painful. And then all the dirt of the driveway just packed in and stopped it from bleeding. So and then these guys carried me over to a bench, and it was all embarrassing. And then I'm like, I have to make this bleed. I can't sit on this bench. So I went and found a liter bottle of water, poured water on it, which until it like turned to mud, and I got some out, and I'm like, I have to bleed. So I started walking, and that started to get the blood flowing. So I had blood running down my leg after that, and I thought I was out of the woods. And then I got to Marcella's mom's house, and she's like, no, I've got to clean you out. And so she started cleaning it, and then she's like, this is so bad. Like, I hadn't really seen it, because to me it looked like a bunch of dirt caked on my leg. It was not. It was my leg ripped apart. And she's like, I can't work on your leg. It's like raw meat, and she couldn't handle it. And so we sent a picture to my doctor, and he's like, dude, oh no, I'm coming over. So he came over to my house, and he like really, really worked on it. And he's like lidocaine and stuff. He's like, this is bad. And so he worked on it, and he's like, okay, we're putting you on meds. Like, this is what has happened to you. And then we thought we were okay for like 5-6 days. So I'm all like, whatever, just like doing my thing, not worrying about it. And after like 5-6 days, it was like starting to turn yellow, and it was kind of bad. And he's like, oh, nope, this is a problem. I thought were you not on antibiotics? I'm like, of course I am. And he's like, oh boy. So, and like at that point I had a fever, I was getting chills, nauseous, like I went from, in the morning I had some knee pain, I had deep knee pain, so I went and got an x-ray, and everything was fine. And I'm all at the hospital like, I'm getting an x-ray, and then by the mid-afternoon, I'm like, I'm not sure I can walk anymore, like I'm bad. And he's like, you're oh, this is bad. So he got a ton of medicine. We got a nurse. Nurse came over. They put the IV in me. So this is 10 days ago, 12 days ago, put the IV in me and put me on really serious meds. And that started, and they're like, if you're not good, we got 3 days before you got to be hospitalized. Like this is going to go to real bad real fast if this doesn't work. And so since then, I've had to have the nurse. So this is 20 times I've had to be debrided. So the first week they cleaned everything out and they kind of left it. They're like, you'll be fine. And then I wasn't. And then they're like, oh no, we have to start over. And so they had to just tear it all out and like start over twice a day. So every 12 hours, he'd go in there and he's like, "Urgh." He'd scrub so hard it was burning from the friction. And then after like 7 days, they're like, okay, and like he's like grabbing things, tearing things out. This is like every day doing this. It's not like one time. This is just every single day. And the pain is just, and I've had a needle in my arm for days, but like that part doesn't hurt, but it's just annoying. And then several days ago, he's like, it's coming along okay, but I need to, and he takes out a razor blade and shaves the entire front off, everything, just cuts it all off. So we're basically starting over. And the pain was just so intense, and it didn't even hit me for hours how bad it was. And then it just started getting worse and worse. And I'm just like, I can't even sit at my desk. I'm like, this hurts so bad. It was something. And just, so the needles came out today. And the final debriding was, so we're at 2 hours and 40 minutes, right? So 2 hours and 45 minutes ago was my final debriding, and they expect me to be able to take the bandages off tomorrow, and I should be okay. So that is what's been going on. That is why it's been so bad, and it just, my knee aches from how much pain there's been there. I think the knee is fine. It's just, the pain never ends. Frank says, injuries falling is going around. My friend scraped the hell out of their leg about a week ago, and a friend's kid cut his eyelid learning how to surf today. Might need to go Olympia. Charles says, dude, man, hardcore. It felt hardcore. It feels ridiculous. I feel like an old guy having to have my knee treated this much. But a nurse twice a day for 2 weeks. Like, think about that. Like, I know him really well now, though. Like, we're buddies. Charles is crazy. I got dengue 10 years ago in Belize. Not fun. I got dengue in 2022 in Leon. It was a week. It's just it's crazy. Such a simple injury could turn so bad. Before modern medicine, it would have been life-threatening. Oh, that would have been life-threatening without penicillin. Even giving me the wrong antibiotic, they're like, everything's fine, but only because we have really good penicillin. Nicole says, as a nurse, that sounds terrible. Sounds similar to a severe burn. Yeah, that's probably, it is essentially a burn for all intents and purposes. It was road rash is really what it was. She says, glad you're better. Yeah, thank you. It's been a bit. I'm really looking forward to being able to like fully type again, because that's been, I had one day that they gave me a break, and it's just been Gooch says, dude, that is terrible. If you were in Canada, you never have to deal with that. After your 3-day wait in the ER, they would offer you a maid and you would have zero pain. I don't do painkillers, so that makes it that much worse. Like, I'll do topical, but I don't take anything. Like, I really don't believe in it. I mean, there's times you need it. I understand. I have to need it to take a painkiller. But it's been a lot. But it's all been in-house. That's the nice thing. Other than going to the x-ray voluntarily at the hospital, every doctor visit, every nurse visit is in the house. He just comes over now he's done, but 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. So he gets me up in the morning and he's like, okay, debrides the stuff, no medicine in the morning. and then comes back at 6 p.m., debrides it again, does the medicine. And so we've had this pattern, but knowing that he's coming over twice a day, because I need the IV and stuff, like, could we do it ourselves? Yes, but oh my gosh, that would have been a lot to do on our own. It was a godsend having a really good nurse that knew exactly what they were doing, and we were able to do it really, really well day after day after day. And he would stop by the pharmacy and get all the stuff we need, and we would just pay him for it. Like, it makes life so much easier for that kind of stuff. Dale says, damn, that's freaking terrible. Gucci says, it's the program in Canada for when medical costs are too high. Interesting. Oh, MAID is the program for when medical costs are too high. Here, a daily, a nurse visit for the day is like less than 500. So I don't really know. I can't figure out exactly what the costs were, but it was like $14 to have the nurse here twice a day. Something in that kind of number. So really, really affordable, totally worth it. In America, you may not have survived because the bill would have given you a heart attack. Yes, I've experienced that. I can't imagine the bill in the U.S. for 10 days of IV. Yeah. You look great considering your injury. In the U.S., they often get antibiotics wrong. That's why they call it medical practice. Yep. Here, yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what the decision on different types are. Canada, weight is true. Gift your doctor and make a relationship goes a long way. The zero weight thing in Nicaragua is such a big deal. That's it's such a big deal that everything is instant here. Every time, and even Marcella, she had to go. She talked to her doctor here, and I don't know how much she wants to say about what she has, but she's doing okay. But they talked to the doctor here, and they're like, okay, you really need to start treatment, and this is really serious. So they're like, when you see the hospital, right? Because this is a clinic. He's like, he can refer, but he can't like make her go. He's like, when you walk into the hospital, this is going to be a go, right? He's like, when you walk through that door and you show them what this is, everything starts. There's not going to be a delay. There's not going to be anything. And she had the right referrals. She had the right people. She walked into Ciudad Sandino Hospital ER and handed them the paper, and they immediately, and this is just, everything went off, and they're like, oh, you need treatment now. Like, now. They literally just said, okay, turn around. We're putting you into an ambulance, and we're taking you to acute care, and immediately drove her. This is funny. It's so close. In the U.S., someone would have pushed you this far, right? Like, it wouldn't even have been a car, but they took her over the hill between Ciudad Sandino and Lenin Fonseca, and which is you can't park there. You can only come in by ambulance, and you can only come in by reference. And took her directly into Fonseca, and went. I mean, instant, right? She showed up at 7:45 in the morning in Ciudad Sandino. By 8 o'clock in the morning, she was admitted to Lenin Fonseca for acute care, and was beginning a very complicated, very rare regimen and treatment program and everything, and that she has to be there for weeks. And it's all just automatic, all completely paid for, all handled by the government, all with top doctors and top equipment and normally air conditioning. And but there are negatives, right? Like her family, someone has to be there to entertain her. Someone has to be there to bring her food and to deal with stuff. And so they don't provide food, but they allow people to bring in your meals and everything. And it's really amazing. And then when she's ready to switch to home care, she's going to go into private care with the same nurse that I had. And that's actually why I had this nurse. This is her nurse that I just happened to get injured during things going on. And so he ended up coming for me. Nicole says, may not have survived heart attack. And Charles says, Canada wait is true. Oh, yeah. Ishathik says, as price of convenience go, $14 a day seems pretty darn good to me. It really is. $14 to keep me from, it keeps me productive. It allows me to stay at my desk and keep working and all kinds of things, right? And running to the store for me several times. Now, he was coming by. It wasn't like I sent him like way out of his way or anything, but he was stopping by Pharma Value and picking stuff up. Like, it's a really big deal. Nicole says, thanks for sharing about healthcare. Such an important component of my expat journey. It is a major, major reason to be in Nicaragua. I am so consistently thrilled with the healthcare people and processes and facilities, and it's just getting better and better. And Luco's here. Hey, everyone. Luco, glad that you're here. Mark says you do not want to need healthcare in Canada. Trust me, I know. I grew up on the border. We never wanted to end up there. Ed says, I get Botox from an A-plus plastic surgeon here for $250 compared to $2,000 in New York City. It's funny. I didn't even know there was obviously there must be a plastic surgeon here, but I don't know of one. I mean, I look like I'm using one, right? But it's how I stay youthful. But the healthcare here is a reason to be in Nicaragua. It's for the longest time, we were like, the healthcare is good enough. Like, it's so much better than people give it credit for. Now we're so much in a position of, it's like fantastic. Like, it's actually really good. And there's definitely rough times. It's not perfect. Jimmy's stitches at the public hospital could have been handled better for sure. That was not perfect, but it still was a very just generally good experience and free and so easy for him to deal with. Charles says people need to understand that those that help you are caring. Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras care. Yeah, it's such a, they're not in it for the money. It's not a money thing. It is, people do it because they're passionate about keeping people healthy, keeping the public going. What does it cost to have a knee replacement in Nicaragua? Mark, I'm not sure. I'm going to get my buddy Sean on here who just had one done, 2 months ago or less. And he's done one knee in the U.S. and one knee in Nicaragua. So he has a direct comparison of cost, time to heal, quality, happiness, convenience, time to wait, all those kinds of things between the two, because it's the exact same surgery on each knee, but America versus Nicaragua. And I think that'll be a really good one, because it's not very often that you get the same person with the exact same procedure in both places to talk about it. I do know it was in the thousands of dollars. I also know it was private care. But it was here in Leon. He used a Moxa here in Leon. When I returned to New York, my family and friends tell me how young I look. Living on the ocean will do that too. The knee, very well-known surgery. Yep. Yeah, especially well-known surgeries are better here. Really edge case things, that's where they're going to struggle more for sure. But even that, we're amazed by how much some rare things here turn out really well. Nicole says, Ed, excellent. I'm interested in Botox. I hope to hear more if you're willing to share. How often do you get this treatment? Luco says, hey, Scott, did you ever find out if there is attorney-client privilege in Nicaragua, as we spoke about? I have not yet. I need to ask about that. I was going to ask you a few weeks ago when I went to Panama, but I went to Panama. Charles says, not perfect, but want to be professional. Ooh, what was that in reference to? Not sure. TJ says, one of my family members looking for full dental implants. Recommendations? Yeah, TJ, you want to do it here in Leon. For sure. TJ, I'll send you the link to my dentist. She's amazing. Everybody raves about my dentist. My awesome teeth are not because of her, but my kids, my wife, everyone, all the expats I know, they all use her, including Sean, who had some of the most extensive dental work done of anyone I've ever known. And he did like years and years and years of really high-end care in the United States, and they weren't able to fix things. And his first trip to the dentist here fixed. And he's like, the entire American medical system can't do what one doctor in Leon can do for dental. Like, it is amazing. Yes, TJ, she can dance. That is that is funny. My dentist is famous for her salsa dancing. That is true. Where did you meet my dentist? Nicole says, yes, please share your dental contact. I'm hoping to get some dental care when you're there. Absolutely. Just Pepsi. No, nothing to worry about. Actually, let me grab them now. It's BC Dental. I can grab their link. There we go. Oh, something went wrong. That's great. Instagram is not working. Fun. Where is... I lost you guys. There you are. That is my dentist. I can hook you guys up on WhatsApp or whatever if people need. Very, very affordable, super professional. Right here. Yes, well, my geckos are local. They're not outside. They're all up above my quilts. The quilts right here. They hide all over the walls. This is the one thing I wish the camera, because you know this is my arm's length, and it's less than, like, the camera is so much farther away than that. Like I can grab a remote. You can see, like, I'm nowhere close to the camera yet. Like, I'm not even remotely close. It would be nice if I had some way to, like, move the camera so I can show you stuff in the room and things. Like, that would be convenient sometimes. There was a video where you said it was your dentist dancing, and I said she was attractive. Oh, yes. She was there for opening at Desperados, but not when you were there, the original opening the first time. Dental content, reference to medical, remember. It's up in the Capitol every 6 months and a free touch-up every 2 weeks. That's cool. You're welcome, Nicole. Yeah, they're great. And so one of the nice things is here in Leon, staying in Leon is really cheap as well. So it's cheap, it's safe, it's just so convenient. Come out to Leon, do your dental out here, and it just makes things very easy. And her orthodontist partner is really good as well. Now, she's not available every day. It's like 1 day a week. So this is funny. A lot of you know that my kids and we go to Dr. Coffee. So the doctor of Dr. Coffee is actually the orthodontist, with completely unrelated. I had no idea that my dentist and my coffee shop are joined via the partner of one, and the sibling of the other is the in-between mediating doctor that connects them. It's such a small world. The link is not open. You know what? The link didn't open here either. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm getting an error here. This says something went wrong. Page could not be loaded, but that is definitely their page. So give it a little bit of time. Instagram has their issues, so something's going on with Instagram. I don't know. Poor Instagram. Meta is down. Just paid $5,000 for 4 wisdom teeth extraction. I'm done with dental care in the U.S. I had 4 wisdom teeth out once upon a time. Boy, it was a lot cheaper. I'm a lot older than you. It was actually a good experience, except for the money. I feel like it was only about half that, but that was a long time ago. I bet to have that done here, it's under $1,000. Probably under $600. It's probably... Yeah, I would not be surprised if it wasn't between $400 and $600 to have that done here. and probably comes out better in many cases. It's funny, living here for so long, everything is still amazing how cheap it is. And how good it is. Right? It's just consistently getting really good everything. Oh, I see the picture now from Janet for the new hemodialysis center. I like the big picture on the wall. No, I haven't seen that yet, though. Have to check that out. We're doing pretty well with over 300 views at only 3 hours in. That is good for us. It's funny, doing double live streams today in some ways. I feel like we've been on the live stream quite a long time because it's actually been 5.5 hours of live stream today, plus that extra half hour. It's actually been 6 hours that I've been on live stream today, but it's been broken up. So I don't quite have it feel like it's been that long, but it's a bit. I'm going to try looking at BC Dental on my phone and see what happens. My friend recently had it done in Rivas, $600 for 4 wisdom teeth. So that makes sense. I see. BC Dental is loading okay on my phone. So it's something to do with just Meta's being weird. I will put it up so you guys can see it. Bum bum bum. That's my dentist. For those who are wondering, one of the cool things we buy here in Nicaragua, this is my little phone stand. Yes, it's pink. Stop complaining. I get these from the little Chinese stores. I have all the characters. This is Doraemon, a cat-type robot from Mumuso, and it's great. It's like, I don't know, $3 or whatever. And it holds my phone. Makes me so happy. I had so many problems that I didn't have a place on my desk for my phone to go. But oh my gosh, I have not been to Texas for so long. I'm waiting to finally go get my new mouse that has been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for me in Texas. Oh, there we go. Nicole says it opened on her phone. Perfect. Yep. So go see Betsy Carolina at BC Dental, and they will take care of you. And it's funny because they're in the barrio, so you're in like a really funny street, and then you pull up and there's this really nice dental office, and you're like, what? So $600, that's probably a really good, $150 per tooth for extraction. I would not be surprised if that is kind of a standard price. That feels right. So hopefully soon I'm getting up to Texas and getting a lot more gear for my office. The thing that I really need, we've been so busy because we're having our steakhouse rebuilt. So there's just never-ending work going on out there. It's exhausting. But what I want to do is redo the office so that my desk is actually like 2 feet farther forward, maybe a little bit more than that. And I want all shelving low along this wall over here so I have places to put things. And I want my monitor, this TV screen that's my monitor for things, I want that moved up so that it's like up, out, off the desk and off of the way. And I have this phone on my desk, which again I would show you, but like, you know, I can't move the camera because it's way out there. And show you my, or I want to have this phone wall mounted so that it's stable, so it can't fall and stuff. And then have like all the cables like really nicely up against the wall. And there's a bunch of stuff I want to do and get it really cleaned up so that my desk can be half the size or less, but have a lot more usable space and have the like room shifted some. And then my goal is to have my microphone built into the desk and to have my camera actually mounted to the desk as well instead of then to a tripod. So it will go up and down, but only a little tiny bit of adjustment. And I want the monitors raised a little bit and on pedal stills. And then I have all this equipment, which I'm going to try to show you. This is really dangerous. Well, I'm going to try to show you this one because this is not nearly as much in use at the moment. I have gear like this that is a control board for the live streams. And it has mounting posts on the bottom. I don't know if my other one does. It does not. It has mounting posts on the bottom, so I can have it mounted like to a tripod mount. And then the other one, I want to have like a little wooden stand that it like notches into so that it doesn't slide out and I have to worry about it, and have like ties for all the cables and stuff, so I can have everything really nicely organized and not have it like sitting around on my desk, but rather elevated in like a dedicated thing. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to design it all, but I want it like really clean and really everything just has its spot. I think that'll be really cool. And Janet, what did you send me? Is this the new hospital? Oh, pictures of the new hospital. Oh, cool. Is that today? No. That's quite some time ago. Back in June. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're waiting for that to be open. All right, lost everybody again. There we go. Drones are not allowed in Nicaragua. Nope. Oh, that's a dialysis center. Oh, okay. Molar Pold was charged $50. Not bad. Yeah, Mark, that's the one. It's the one thing that we're just all waiting. Now, lots of people have them. Lots of people have them. People buy them. People fly them. But legally, they're officially not allowed yet. Which is good in a lot of ways. It saves me money because I would definitely buy one. If the moment they're allowed, I kind of feel like I have to. But before they're allowed, I need to get a new GoPro 360 camera. I have to get the new GoPro 13. I have to get the new Fuji XM5, EM5. Oh, what is it? I think it's the EM5. It's actually this camera without one of the stabilizing components in a smaller body, but it's perfect for a lot of the stuff I do. So I plan on getting a second Fuji so that I have the two to work with. And what was I going to say? And the Pocket 3, the DJI Pocket 3, all equipment that I need to have, plus the new microphone setups and stuff. And then I want to get a podcasting system that's kind of like, so I've got this broadcast board for the show now. I want to get the equivalent, but for podcasting. And that's a pretty big deal. So I have all this equipment I need to get. So I'm kind of glad for the cost savings prior to that, especially because I need like multiple microphones for when we're going to do interview podcast type stuff. I need a minimum of 2, and it would be really nice to have 4. One thing I don't like about this seat, I love this chair, but it forces me forward a little bit. So I spend so much time kind of leaning forward on it, and I really want to be back farther. And so I'm constantly fighting with it to be like, give me a little bit more space. The seat is just a little bit too far forward, and I don't think I can adjust that. So it's always a fight. We have a lot of people on. You guys are just really quiet. I'm just going to be quiet. This is where we need like music that I can play or something in the background. How could I do that? I can go on Epidemic and play music. I can only play music that's licensed for this, but I do have Epidemic. Janet says that's the problem I had with my chair. It was too far forward. Mark says get a lazy boy. Yeah, no. Epidemic sound. Oh, I'm logged out. What's going on? That's why I asked if your prior chair was adjustable. My prior chair was super adjustable. That is definitely true. This one is less adjustable, but it's such a better chair that, I don't know. Holiday Essentials already available as a playlist on Epidemic. I'm just playing off my phone. This is terrible. Gooch, a double take. What happens if I pop this onto the... It's not really my song. Anyway, Dale says, why'd you decide to do an impromptu live stream this morning? So one, I had a moment, which was a rare thing. Yesterday was super stressful with work, and so it was like, oh, here's an opportunity for me to do something, and I kind of fit between meetings. But also because of the stuff going on, I know every travel channel has been rushing to get content out for there's a certain amount of audience that is new in the last 48 hours looking for relocation conversations and information, and it's kind of want to strike while the fire is hot, the poker is hot, so to speak. And so that's just talking to Marcella in the hospital. Oh, we're buffering. It did give an error. That is our first. Here, let's go to a map and see if we can head it off at the pass for a second. How is the audio while we're doing that? Janet says, now mine reclines too much and I can't get it straightened up, so I have to use pillows behind my back. Okay, that's a pain. Itchithik says, buffering or just me? I think it is buffering. It is not the music, Janet. No, there's something going on with YouTube once again. Ed says, Gooch, I had 3 teeth extracted in Rivas, paid $600 for the procedure, which included the services of an anesthesiologist. Dale mentions that it is buffering, so we're going to see what happens, see if we can recover. We had 20 seconds of buffering earlier. Oh, let's go to the still. This will help it even more. That is the raccoon. I've shown this for 3 times today. That's the raccoon that fell out of the ceiling at LaGuardia today. Audio is good, Wiggy says. All right, good. Okay, so you guys can hear me. It's and I'm showing that cache is improving just slowly. So that implies YouTube is getting a handle on things. So we'll just give it a little. Yep, there's one. We're just inching forward. Oh, nope, losing a little bit of ground. It's kind of fluctuating. It doesn't know what it's doing. His wife is also a plastic surgeon and skincare expert. I wish I had a good way to plug the audio in so we could just play the audio. I don't even know how we would do that. Well, why don't we experiment while we're here? There's no reason not to. I don't know what we would do with music playing while we do the live stream, but I can imagine that there is a time when that could make sense. Oh, apparently I have been on this website on my laptop, so it's already saved. One of my favorite things is having the music services. I know the raccoon is hilarious. He's awesome. I like having music for the channel. It's one of my favorite things. So I have 2 music services currently, and I really want the channel to get big enough so I can get a third, right? Which obviously I could just go get a third, but then where would the money go? Trouble to port that raccoon. Let's see. We're just going to play some music and see what happens. Soft house, Latin, hopeful, dreamy. Well, that sounds like a good description, doesn't it? And is it playing? I do believe it is. How do I add this? Is there... no, that doesn't seem to be doing anything. Oh, are we getting music now? I have no way to hear it. Raccoons can see with paws. What? I also found a great cardiologist in Riva, speaks perfect English, spends an hour with me for $40. Oh, you're not getting music. On mine, it shows that music is there. That's what's playing. Oh, it's not there yet. Must be a delay. Now, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, well, maybe the music thing doesn't work. On my audio monitor... Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, La Marcelita is here! Is the music good? I can't even tell what's playing. I don't know what it is because I can't figure out how to hear it. I turned it up because people said they couldn't hear it, and then it says, would you trust them for heart surgery? Is that a question for me? Would I trust the surgery? Yeah, I would totally do heart surgery here. I mean, I don't want heart surgery, obviously, but when the time comes, this is where I'd want to do it. Oh, now it's on Modern Blues? It's playing some really random music. I need to find like a good... Is the music like good though? Like, is it good to have some music playing? Like, is this a good level? Is that cool? Is that like a neat addition to the thing, or is that just dumb? I reckon there's a good bit of delay between chat and video audio. Yes, there's a huge delay, especially as the show goes on, it gets more delay. It's a beat with sleepy time music. Elevator techno. Okay, so I like this because later I can go back and watch the live stream and see what's going on and hear what it was. That is funny. I'm gonna look for something better. Oh, what are these? Let's see, what's good? Now it's country and buffering. Oh, that sucks. We gotta find some good, memes, so that I can have things to show you guys when we're in these buffering things instead of just the same raccoon over and over again. I mean, he's a cute raccoon and all, but at some point, it gets a little bit old. I have no good memes to show. I need to collect these throughout the week or something. Yep, nothing good. Coming back. All right. No Puff Daddy either. Oh, here. Let's go to. Got a playlist here. There we go. Try something out. Wiggy says that song sounds good. However, I don't know what song it was, which makes it very tough. The better. No Justin Bieber, please. So everything comes off of, they're not big artists. It's all artists coming off of Epidemic Sound. I can also do Artlist. Those are the two I have currently, and Soundstripe is the one I want to add. I really like Soundstripe's library when I've listened to it. It's been really good. I just got to play for it. Play Cadeo music. Yeah, if I have that. Alright, if you like that kind of music, it should be Nicaraguan music. Dale says, would you consider going to Colombia if you had cancer? Or yeah, absolutely. Or trust Nicaragua doctors. We've had things in Nicaragua when they need to send us to Colombia, they tell us. So I think that that's the big thing there, is just trusting that they're going to tell you when you need to go somewhere else or not. You mentioned on a previous episode that Colombia had better cancer treatment than most of Latin America. Colombia just has really amazing treatment, right? Like, it's really good for stuff, so it's always an option. Mexico's good too. Wiki says, I like the music. Sounds Texas bluesy. That's probably not the one we're on anymore, but Mark likes it. So that's cool. It's neat having the music. That's something different and allows it to be a little bit less of complete dead air if I don't talk for a minute or something. Unfortunately, YouTube is still having its issues, so we're just waiting for them. Ed says, Nicole, you'll be very pleased. She uses a full bottle, gets every wrinkle. They do other cosmetic work. Itchy says, just give it a caption, raccoon at work. I keep trying to do things and I'm on the wrong web browser. Really slowing me down. Yeah, I wish I had funnier stuff to put up on the... It's still buffering bad, but I guess the audio is okay. I'm not sure what to put up for you guys while we're waiting for things. Sorry, kind of at a loss. Jan says it was a lady singing a sort of modern country song. Nicole says, Ed, is there a name of the clinic that you could share? I'm making a trip soon and want to try to get some things up. Nicole says, I want to come back home looking 25 years old. Gooch says, that's cool then, play that music. I like to hear something different or new. I've got the Laid Back playlist from Epidemic on right now, which Epidemic also has an app for the phone, which is nice because I can be like, see, this is what it looks like. So you can see what music is playing at the moment. With Epidemic, I have this nice app on my phone, and it even lets you play offline, so I can select a bunch of stuff that I want to listen to or do whatever, and then select music and mark it and stuff for the show later, should I want to use it for anything. It's cool in that way. I do enjoy the tools that we get to use to do the show. Makes it fun. All right, Nicole likes this one. Unfortunately, there's no way to match up what song is playing. I think you're listening to GR by Jacques Rascon, which is classified as corrido, tumbado, acoustic, happy, and laid back. Oh, I just realized I could turn up the TV briefly for a moment to hear what's playing. Nope, who knows? Juan Caldera memes are always good. It's so hard to find things while I'm doing it. Now it's on to... Oh, an instrumental version of the same song we already heard. No, we're moving on. That I don't like. Oh, now there was a Spanish one. I see. We could do an all music music live stream during the day when I'm working. I could just put on music and make it so that I'm listening to music and mute my microphone and just be like me bopping along listening to this music while I work, and people would be watching me and be like, what is this weirdness? That's funny. Oh, are we back? Are things working? We may have recovered. I think we are back. Sounds like flamenco. Oh, that's nice. I wish I knew which good songs these were. I'll have to play with them later. Are there any famous Nicaragua specific memes? No, I don't think so. Dale says, no one I know here in the U.S. has good insurance. Some have adequate insurance that's wildly expensive. That's about the best you can hope for unless you have boatloads of money. Yeah, Alan was looking recently, and one of the things that he was really struggling with was that he is a Texan, but needs to go stay with his parents in Illinois. And in the U.S., he can't find a way to get insurance that covers him when he's in the U.S. If he's in Texas, he has to have one insurance. If he's in Illinois, he needs another. And he can't find anything these days that allow him to travel back and forth. Any moment that he's in between the two, he's uncovered. So he's like, there's no such thing as American insurance for him. He cannot find an insurance plan so that he's actually covered. Like, it's crazy. Oh, I see we're having a cache issue again. Ah, there we go. Just when you think we have it fixed. Janet says, Google AI gave me this explanation. Corridos Tumbados is a subgenre of regional Mexican music that originated in the mid-2010s. All right, cool. Oh, we're grooving now. Okay, cool. The song currently is Black Champagne. I believe it is the instrumental mix. It is a genre known as bedroom pop. Okay. Well, all right. Wiggy says you're on screen. I was for a minute. I pop on when I can, but it's having so many problems. Jan says I have another class in under half an hour, but I mean, luckily, I've had to wait hours between them recently. Well, that's good in that way. We have a fair number of people still on too, but I have a feeling maybe, so we're winding down, we're getting slower. We've done a couple live stream todays. We've definitely been busy. I'm wondering if it might be good if we're having a little bit of internet problems. Maybe it's good to call it a night. I am excited actually about this music thing, like having access to this music that we can just play in the background. Like, that's super cool. That's coming off my laptop, so that's really easy for me to do. And if that's fun, I like that. Unfortunately, I can't hear it, but I'll try to figure that out too. U.S. insurance is a real challenge, but Texas is sort of unique in a lot of ways. It is, but it's not Texas that causes the problem. He has every bit of the problems from Illinois as well. It's everywhere. I actually get to sleep really well tonight because I don't have the needle in my arm for the first time, and it has been a long day. So I'm kind of looking forward to going to bed. Here on the soon side, I need to do my Duolingo because I did a bit of it, but not all of it. Patricia says the only way to get decent medical insurance in the U.S. is to work for a giant soulless company. Even then, often the insurance is limited by state. Or one way or another. Or it gets canceled when you stop working there. It is a tough game. Bedroom pop. Ooh la la. There's a lot of interesting genres of music that I discover by using Epidemic Sound. Things that I would never listen to normally, like who's going to go find this on Apple Music, right? Nobody. But when I'm on Epidemic, I'm like, oh, this is different. I will play with that. And suddenly I end up listening to things I would never consider under normal circumstances. And then it's a lot of fun. And I'm like, oh. And long ago when I first started podcasting, we're talking almost 20 years ago, one of the things that I got really into was discovering new artists. This is long before all these services that, you know, it was a different world. You had to individually find artists and talk to them and stuff. And I used to introduce artists on my podcast. And we found amazing music that way. And there's still music that I love to listen to that I've never heard anywhere except for my 20-year-old podcast that I really like, artists that I really enjoy. And what a fun thing that was back in the day. And it's not exactly the same anymore, but I kind of find using some of these services falls into that kind of category in a lot of ways, and it's fun. Another Google AI, bedroom pop is a musical genre that describes artists who record music in their homes rather than in traditional recording studios. The term became popular in the mid-2010s to describe artists who had gained a small online following. Bedroom pop music is often characterized by a low-quality sound and production, but is high quality in other ways. Nicole says, thanks for the live stream and info. New subby. Oh, thank you so much. My first live stream. Your videos are very informative. Thank you. Yeah, Nicole, we try to do these live streams, not double, just one, every Thursday, and then sometimes I throw in extra ones as I get bored throughout the week or something, or if I'm feeling disconnected from the audience or something. Or if something happens, like today, where there's a lot of people who have a question that I wanted to jump on. But these Thursday night live streams that we do, we have this awesome group. You can tell some of us, like Janet and I, are always here, and La Marcelita and Patricia, and we've got our regular crew, and then there's always new people hopping on too. And it's such a great community. It's so cool how everybody connects with each other and gets to know each other and all that. It is a really fun addition to the channel, and I think I'm pretty confident everybody really enjoys being able to connect and like connect with me, because like obviously this is a very visceral experience, because it's mostly real time, and it's like here we are actually doing stuff and hanging out, and it's like, oh, produces a show every day, but there's still a live stream and like all this extra stuff. Like it's, you know, I'm really here in my office doing stuff, and it says need to work for the federal government for good insurance. Yeah. Dale says, been fun as always, Scott. Gonna have to go check out the earlier stream. Yeah, definitely go watch the earlier stream. It was a good stream earlier today. We had a couple people be a little bit weird, but mostly it was good, and I think it was a good stream overall, and we had a good time. And it's been a busy day, which is fantastic. I haven't actually looked at the stats for the day so far. It's probably a pretty busy day overall. Live streams tend to kick it up a notch, just in general. So yeah, the last 8 hours or so has been really busy, which is fantastic. Oh, did we mention we are now like 2 weeks ago we passed Nicaragua real estate, not just as we've been for the last year the biggest channel in Nicaragua in English. That was on its own like a pretty big it does, every song has an instrumental version. Sorry about that. So it plays the same thing twice. Dear Lord, $900 a month for garbage health insurance. I don't even know. Janet says, "Sigh, I have to go in a minute. It's been fun, everyone. Have a good night." Oh, not only did we pass Nicaragua real estate like a year ago as the busiest channel day to day, but even though they've been around for 14 years and we've been around for 2.5, we've accumulated more views in that time than they've had total. We're now number one all-time busiest show in English in Nicaragua ever. So that's a really cool milestone to have crossed over. So excited about that. Anyway, yeah, I think it's a good time to call it a night. I'm going to get some early sleep, let this knee heal up. I've got a lot of work stuff to do tomorrow. We got another video is already posted for tomorrow. Oh, suddenly the video is doing better now. The cache is, I see, repairing itself. And not sure what else is going on this week. Hopefully I'm going to be out walking sometime again soon. My knee is improving. So that's all great. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thanks to our new members. Thanks for the donations, our new subscribers. It has been a really good day. And go out and watch some extra episodes. Have a good night. Be good humans. And I will